WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Tito Santana.
This is Kurt Angle.
This is Bret the Hitman Hart, and this is going out to Scott and Holly.
You are listening to the
Win Twice Wrestling Podcast
with Scott and Holly.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
And this ho's for everybody. Ho!
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. We always go over, brother, and that's the bottom line. Dig it? So, sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 68 of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts Scott and Holly. Morning, Holly.
Morning.
You alright?
I'm good, yes.
Fall off any ladders today, or you save that for the other day?
I do worry about myself sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you said to me, I had a no phone evening because I didn't feel right, I was like, oh dear, think she's got a cold.
Yeah.
And you went, no, I had a disagreement with a ladder.
Yeah.
And my head went straight to you standing on top of a ladder.
Swanton off.
Yeah, swanton off into the bathtub or something.
No.
If only it was that cool. I assume you went backwards?
Yes.
Right.
I was painting my bathroom, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
Because, what? I don't know why it's obviously. And just, paintbrush in one hand, nothing in the other, to be fair, and then toppled backwards. Shoulder took most of the brunt of it. Head took a nice ding on the floor, so it was a fun time.
Is it a tiled floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it could have been.
But I do not feel good, let's be honest. I feel like I've been hit by a bus.
Oh, have you got like a chiropractor session in the works to be put together?
I'm going to have to, I think.
Yeah. I was going to say, especially if you landed... I'll be honest, I was upset because I slept funny on my shoulder. You fell off a ladder onto a tiled floor.
I mean, it wasn't like a 6-foot ladder. It was probably like a metre or something off the floor, but still.
Fair enough. I mean, I've got a question that JR often poses. How do you learn to fall off a ladder? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. I mean, like I said, I slept funny, and I was like, oh, that's a bit sensitive. So I guess it puts it in perspective for me.
I hit my head, no sense, no feeling, right?
But there's going to be no Jeff Hardy in this show, unfortunately.
I know.
And we're going back into the DeLorean. We're going back to 1988. And we're going... It's a good year.
It's a good year.
It's a great year. It's a great year. But it's also another bit of a...
Wrestling.
Well, I would maybe disagree with you, to be fair. But I got a few theories which we'll discuss as we go through this, which I was talking about to my wife.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought you'd feel particular ways about certain matches and incidents that happened during this card. Now, we'll put it out there.
Yeah.
The only match I'd seen on this card prior to watching this show was the main event. Because I feel like it's on one of the WWE DVD collections.
Right.
For Ric Flair, potentially. I can't entirely remember.
Sure.
But I feel like I've definitely seen that match before. The rest of them I haven't, and I'm okay with that. But, again, like I said, it's back to one of our, as you would call it, a cherry-popping session, because it's the first of its kind.
Isn't it just?
We're going back, like I said, to 1988. We were watching NWA Clash of the Champions 1.
Yeah.
Oh, if you could see the look on her face, she sighed, yawned, and glared at me all at the same time there.
Oh.
There was no eye roll. I thought the eye roll was going to come.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and rightly so for a couple of instances here. But, Holly, tell me what you know, or what you don't know, about what Clash of Champions is and what it means.
This won't take long. Nothing.
Okay, so you're not even familiar with the WWE version?
I've heard of it, but I assume I've heard of the WWE version. That's it.
Yeah, they effectively they brought it back because it's obviously got a lot of lineage, shall we say, going back to 88. Sure. I do have a little bit of background for you onto how it came, and I went to the always trusted Wikipedia.
Of course.
Because
can't change that, can you?
Well, you can, but to be fair, it's kind of curated by the people. And to be fair, what I read there was fine. There wasn't anything that I went, this is clearly bollocks. But most of the other places, I thought there must be some good stories about the initial. I struggled.
Oh.
I really struggled. All I wanted is the detail to then be able to put forward to you how the event was created, why it was created, and then go from there. Very little. It was a lot of people doing reviews and putting their thoughts on it.
Oh, I see.
And what kind of idiots fucking do reviews and put their thoughts on it, eh? Morons, honestly. Dirty marks. But here's a bit of background for you. Throughout 1987 and 1988, a bitter event scheduling war broke out between rival wrestling promoters Vince McMahon and Jim Crockett Jr. On Thanksgiving night 1987, McMahon's World Wrestling Federation aired Survivor Series against Starrcade from Crockett and the National Wrestling Alliance, 2 pay-per-view events on the same day. At that time, many cable companies could only offer 1 live pay-per-view event at a time, and furthermore were presented with an edict from the WWF saying that any cable company that chose to carry Starrcade would be banned from carrying any future WWF events.
Ooh.
Hence, the WWF pay-per-view was cleared 10-1 over Starrcade.
Jeez.
Following this incident, McMahon was warned by the pay-per-view industry not to schedule pay-per-view events simultaneously with the NWA again. However, he was still not willing to fully cooperate with Crockett, and on 24th of January 1988, another scheduling conflict took place between the WWF and NWA. The NWA presented the Bunkhouse Stampede. Yep, that is what it was called. On pay-per-view, while on the same night, the WWF aired the first Royal Rumble for free on the USA Network, which is a show that we've recently reviewed. In 1988, with the WWF's WrestleMania 4 around the corner, Crockett decided to give McMahon a taste of his own medicine. He aired his own supercard, Clash of the Champions, for free on TBS on March the 27th, 1988, the same night as WrestleMania. The first clash was of pay-per-view calibre. I wanted to see Holly's face for that. She's drinking that in, shall we say. Yep. And made Sting a star after he wrestled NWA World Champion Ric Flair to a 45-minute draw. We'll get to that in a bit. WCW would repeat the practice again the following year with a clash coinciding with the WWF's WrestleMania 5. Although the main event of NWA champion Ricky Steamboat defeating Flair in a best-of-3 falls match, or a win-twice match, is widely considered the best wrestling match that took place among the two promotions on that day. Ratings and attendance for the event fell well below expectations due to the event not being advertised, and the practice of conflicting major events would cease until the Monday Night Wars began in 1995. Clash events continued on a sporadic basis over the next 9 years, quickly changing focus to become a free marketing vehicle for NWA WCW pay-per-view events, similar to the WWF Saturday Night's main event. WCW aired the 35th and last Clash of the Champions on August 21st, 1997. In 1997, the determination was made to discontinue airing Clash of the Champions due to the start of WCW Thunder, which is another show that we've covered off. So Clash of the Champions, the idea was to go, fuck you, Vince McMahon. You've done this to us. We're going to do this to you. See how you like it. Mm-hmm. Issue being, and they mentioned this, and there is a very good point to be made about the show the show that featured Steamboat and Flair not being advertised, as in like not being promoted, I should say.
Oh, okay.
And the logic behind that by the decision maker at the time, who I want to say was Jim Hurd. Now, Jim Hurd is an executive who used to work at Pizza Hut, so got a lot of knowledge on the wrestling business, yeah? He decided that he didn't want to do that because then he thought, with Steamboat and Flair then having a load of repeat matches on the house show circuit, that no one would bother to go and watch that. What?
Logic.
Exactly. So they really shot themselves in the foot on that one. So it's interesting to see how you can see a lot of errors being made along the way. On the surface, if you're a fan of the NWA at this time, if you look at what's on this card, you go, hell, that's a good show.
Sure.
Granted, you were not a fan of the NWA in 1988.
I don't even know if I can't remember what month you said it was, so...
yeah, you weren't born. I think it was March. So it's...
No.
But there's a lot of stacked talent, and it depends what you were looking for in your wrestling product for entertainment. So the people that would be watching this show are the people that like, quote-unquote, the good old-fashioned wrestling, where it's not the glitz, it's not the glamour, it's the down and dirty, just what it is.
There's not a lot of storytelling here either. It's literally like there's a little...
Yeah, but you don't get the segments as much.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Dr. Death, I've got some comments on your promo ability, sir. But I think there is storytelling in the matches, but not too much outside of it, because they kind of... Any of the events, like the matches that needed a bit of explanation if you were coming in with fresh eyes, like you were, and me to a certain point, to be fair, like the Chicago Street Fight, Texas Death Match, London Underground Rumble, which took place in 14 different cities, apparently. Make up your fucking mind. They explained that by kind of saying what happened, and I think there was a clip at the start of the show.
There was, and I'll be honest, for someone whose attention is all over the gaff, I was like, what is this in relation to?
Yes.
And it wasn't till the then match later on, I was like, oh, just play it before the match, because I don't remember.
It's but again, you would have known a lot of the people who were on this show.
A few.
There would have been...
There were definitely some I do not.
Yep, we'll get to the Fantastics and the Midnight Express later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, for the most part, everyone else, you would have known. I'm just trying to think, who am I overlooking? Oh, no. Yeah, Koloff, you won't have really had many dealings with in that match either, but everyone else you probably would have.
Mm-hmm.
When you knew we were going back to 1989, 1999, when we were going back to 1988,
yeah,
what was going through your head? Because obviously you're familiar with how the WWF looked around this time.
Yeah.
Did you think it was going to be a similar situation with anything outside of that?
Yeah, until I actually started watching it, I was like, okay, it's going to effectively give me the same view as maybe like a Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yep. I imagine that as soon as the first graphic came on the screen, your butthole puckered and you made a noise like, oh no.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I died a little bit inside.
But it was under 2 hours.
Yes,
it was a manageable...
God, yes.
I actually thought, I will say this off the bat, the pacing of the show I actually thought was very good.
Uh-huh.
There was no point where I was like, why hasn't this ended? But I know you're going to be very different when it comes to the main event. And this is one of my theories that I mentioned with my wife. So I told her that I watched it. I found it quite an easy watch, the main event. The pacing was slow. Not going to get away from that.
Just the main event, specifically. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And there were a lot of side headlocks, which I know would have been the biggest bane of your life.
Oh, it gets mentioned.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does get mentioned aplenty.
Yeah.
But I actually thought the story being told in the match was very good. And I thought it did. Ric Flair's work in this event made Sting look like a legitimate threat and a legitimate challenge. And this was, we have to bear in mind that for Sting, this was still the early days of him kind of breaking out as a single star. He'd had his run as a tag team with the Dingo Warrior, who would later go on to become known as the Ultimate Warrior in the WWF. They were a tag team.
The Dingo Warrior.
The Dingo Warrior.
Wow.
Yes, and Sting. Yeah. Anyway, and they had a similar look at the time with the shaved kind of crew cut hair that Sting has in this period. So this was very much in the time where he was rising to the top of the card. We also see another gentleman on the card who I have yet to see happy on any card that we've watched him on. Oh. But I dare say, well, you know, not to jinx it because it's happened. Well, hopefully you thought the same. Lex Luger looked happy on this card.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he looked happy, full of life. He didn't regret being there.
No. What
he did wasn't offensive on the eyes.
From what I could see through the really good picture quality, he looked all right.
So that's the first point we have to touch on.
I felt like I was watching it through the bottom of a bottle and then with cling film wrapped around my telly. Like, that's the picture quality I felt like it was.
Do you know what? That I could deal with. It was the camera cutting in a few matches where I was like, why would you cut away there? Mm-hmm. There was a couple times where something big happened in the ring. You hear it, but you're looking at a fucking Joe Bloggs in the audience.
Yes, agree, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, there's only so many times I want to see a mulleted woman cheering in a show. Or when someone's making the pin, we'll just go look away.
Yeah, no, I get it.
At JJ Dillon. I don't do this.
No, I agree.
But I can deal with the camera quality. I knew that would be a sticking point for you. But I thought if the wrestling had engaged you, you could have potentially overlooked that. But I think as soon as you get... So I think this is how Holly's brain works. Now, Holly can correct me if I'm wrong.
Right,
you'll be watching something and you'll have like a baseball rule. So it's like a 3 strikes and you're out thing.
That's how I live life.
So yeah,
how I do dating as well.
Your strike zone is moderate, so it's not too tight, it's not too big. And then the first one will go and you go strike, and you go, oh, that's a shame, strike. The second one will go and you go, The third one will go in and you go, right, I don't care what's thrown now,
I'm done.
They're all out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly so. The first thing
to be how I live life in general. I'll be honest.
And I don't think
everything has a 3-strike rule.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I do think that something later in the show that would otherwise be considered good, because you've already mentally struck out
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
you'll go, no, that was shit as well.
Yeah,
and I'll go, so I think we're going to really disagree on the main event.
I think we will too.
Yes. Which is fun. We don't have to agree. That's part of the beauty of this.
Before, sorry, just
Yeah, of
before we
course.
go into it, because we were talking about Lex Luger, and I was going to bring this up anyway. I watched Hall of Fame.
Yeah, why wasn't he there at night one?
Yeah.
It's not been confirmed.
He had me sobbing. I'm an emotional wreck at the minute as it is. He had me literally like ugly sobbing. I was like,
What, Kardashian?
like,
oh, shit.
it was so grim, but such a sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now.
Yes. Yeah,
And
made a lot
get
of bad decisions.
I get it, but the fact that he was there, the fact he said he took a bump like in the taxi on the way to get there, so therefore he was meant to walk further, and then he couldn't.
Oh, when you said bump, I thought you meant like a little bit of nose candy.
No,
I was
no.
like, oh, okay.
And I was just like, oh, bless him. And then obviously I saw that he wasn't there on night one, and I was like, oh no, don't tell me anything.
No, so no, nothing's.
Right.
My guess, because nothing's been confirmed as of yesterday, because I've stayed away from it because we were watching the second night later. I stayed away from it specifically, but I noticed he wasn't there as well, and I looked it up.
They didn't mention him either.
No,
which I thought was, I'll be honest, a bit out of order.
I think mainly because they didn't want to draw attention to the fact he wasn't there. I think that was probably done from both. I don't think it was done as a slap in the face to him.
To me, I was a bit like, he's not there. I don't know why, but also like, just mention him. Like,
he's probably just recovering from the fall he took, where he's like, Hall of Fame. No, I'm going to do this and stand up.
Sure.
And obviously, I don't know how familiar you are with his timeline, but he was in a relationship with Elizabeth when she passed away of a drugs overdose, which is when he really started spiralling, because he blames himself effectively. Because I don't know what her drug take was prior to being with Lex, but I know that's when it went straight through the roof. And obviously, ultimately, that's what caused her to pass on early, which is still such a shame. Like, you think about all the people in wrestling that have died, and you kind of become numb to it to a point, because it's so commonplace. It felt like at one point in time, every week another wrestler was dying. But when Elizabeth dies, you're like, but you weren't a wrestler. You were involved in the industry, and that still was enough to get its claws into you and take you out of the game. Yeah. It's crazy to think about. That one, to me, weirdly hit harder than a lot of the other. Just because I thought, well, you're just a person. Yeah. You're a regular person who happens to be involved in this industry because of a relationship with Savage. You stayed around, but it still took you out. Yeah. It's just, that was, for me, that was a hard one, I think, to swallow. And my God, she's been gone for so long as well. But over 20 years, I think, at this point, or near enough around that mark. But yeah, no, obviously it's nice to see Lex Luger getting the ability to, stand on his own feet, and hopefully he continues his recuperation. And he looks much happier now in a wheelchair than he did when he fucking wrestled, I'll be honest. Because all the stuff we've seen, certainly in his WWF time, I think we've seen him... Oh, he was obviously on the first Nitro. Remember, came out, confronted Hogan. Yeah. I don't think he was at Beach Blast 92. Maybe he was. I just don't remember, and I've blacked it out. But yeah, it's nice to see a youthful-looking Lex Luger, and I've got some questions about that when we get to that portion of the show. But with that being said, Holly, I think we should probably dive into the nitty-gritty, as it were. So, as I've already said, NWA Clash of Champions 1, the date was the 27th of March 1988, roughly 2 months prior to the birth of my dear co-host, for those keeping score. The venue was the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is the heart of NWA territory. The attendance was 6,000, and I tell you what, they played their part very fucking well.
I think 90% of them were women.
Hey, I don't care. They got the noise.
Yeah.
They dragged me into stuff caring more than I otherwise would have, for sure. And this touches upon this whole theory that we were talking about. And I don't think it's really a theory. I think it's kind of common knowledge and widely accepted. Like, there are a couple of matches at WrestleMania yesterday, couldn't have given less of a fuck, and nor could the crowd, and then I cared even less as a result.
Yeah, true. No, I do agree.
A match on paper that I really would like to see, which we did see, was Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. That was, the crowd were half interested in that one, but I was just like, oh, I didn't feel as good as I thought it was going to.
I was really looking forward to that one, and not just because of my like for LA Knight.
Hey, my like for Jacob Fatu is not the same way inclined, but
you never know.
Well,
no problem with that.
Oh, I'm not saying there's a problem with it. I'm just saying I do not want a big Samoan man on top of me.
But yeah, it kind of, at the end, I was like, oh, all right. Like, I didn't care, but I wanted to care.
But this crowd made me care even slightly about things that I didn't care about.
Yeah.
So it's nice that was at least a consistent theme for you. Because imagine if that wasn't there. This show would be rated, I would imagine, very lowly for you.
Yeah.
If that crowd hadn't been there. And it still might be, to be fair. But I feel like they were definitely additive to the overall show. The rating on TBS was 5.6. So that roughly means that 5.6% of people who had TVs in the States were watching this.
Okay.
So think of it as a percentage, effectively.
Okay.
Already gone into the background, so let's go into the show opening. The show opens with sepia-tone-looking footage of NWA heavyweight champion Ric Flair celebrating with his arms raised in the air, wearing a classic robe, whilst an on-screen image of Sting appears beside him. This is like the early days of video transition at its finest, in my opinion.
It's like PowerPoint.
Oh, it really is. The voiceover puts to us whether Sting is ready to dethrone the Nature Boy for the NWA title. The next question put before us is whether the Road Warriors will take revenge on the men that brutalised them, Ivan Koloff and the Powers of Pain. The final question put before us is whether the young stars of today have what it takes or not to succeed in professional wrestling. So many questions, Holly, but now is the time to find out. I guess the final question was, did you care?
No.
Okay. The screen now appears to have a Connect 4 layout, with pictures of the NWA wrestlers filling each one of the slots as we're welcome to the very first Clash of the Champions.
Very good. Very good.
The big gold belt pans across the screen as lightning flashes, and I'm thinking thunder again, and I'm like, oh, not again. No more of this, please. When it's out of shot, the television title appears and does the same. Now it's the turn of the tag team titles before finally the United States title emerges. After each of the titles have had their moments in the sun, two of the belts appear facing one another as a final crack of lightning sounds and the Clash of the Champions logo appears centre of the screen. From here, we head live into the Greensboro Coliseum, and Holly, doesn't this already feel like a WCW show based on the aesthetics? Mm-hmm. Certainly from this era, just see the concrete, the darkened crowd, and I was like, Holly's feeling things. And I don't think they're good things, but Holly's feeling a certain way.
Always.
The voice of Tony Schiavone welcomes us to the Clash of the Champions, and will be sat alongside Bob Caudle, with good old JR featuring along the way.
That, thank God.
Yes.
Thank God.
He is an impassionate man for this one. He absolutely loves it. We head to the commentary position where we see that Tony is rocking a marvellous 1980s moustache, whilst Bob simply looks like he's waiting for his steak dinner. Tony theorises about what will transpire with Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA and Jim Crockett following what took place recently on TBS. But Caudle is simply excited for the show to get underway, because both he and the world have been waiting for this event. Tony passes us now to JR, who has stood at ringside, and Holly, I have to ask, do you think JR looks right without the hat?
No.
I imagine he looks this exact way. So from the age of 3, that is what he looked like, just at a smaller size. Yeah. And then suddenly, unfortunately, he had Bell's palsy, hat went on, and then that's the look.
Okay.
I don't feel like he's ever had a different haircut. I don't feel like
he
he's...
don't need to have a haircut, does he? He's under the hat. So...
But also, I feel like he would just... Well, if you think about... I don't want to see him in a toga ever again.
That was brilliant. That's apart from the hat, that is my second favourite look, I think.
I don't want to see his face buried up Vince McMahon's arse either, which I've also seen. No. But I imagine just little JR running around the farm in Oklahoma in a little tuxedo. Just going, by God, like periodically as he's running around, having the time of his life. He then comes into wrestling, still gets to wear the same gear, and then they just pop the hat on him, apart from the little toga fiasco, and then that's him, set. Yeah. I never look at JR and go, apart from in the toga, which I keep referencing, I feel.
Yeah, it's really hurt you, that.
It has. I never look at him and go, you don't look right. He always looks like...
To be fair, I'd agree.
The part. Yeah. Of whatever he's doing, he looks the part. Yeah. Even when he's doing like backstage interviews at WWF, the sit-down stuff, where he had just no blazer, just the collared shirt, black hat, sat down, like it's fine. He's always ready to rock and roll, in my opinion. Yeah. JR says that we're set for an action-packed evening of wrestling and says that we'll waste no further ado and get stuck in with the NWA World Television title match as he hands us over to ring announcer Tom Miller. Tom Miller.
This really confused
He's a lost man, isn't he? It's like, ladies and gentlemen, the first match of the evening is... Like, oh my God.
I think he had jitters.
I don't think he cared. I think he was lost. Someone gave him a microphone and they went, go.
Maybe.
And he just had cards and went, like, it was a bit, it wasn't quite right.
No.
Tom Miller begins informing us of the special rule set in play in this match.
Stupid.
All it will take, just as an amateur contest, is a 1 count. And we'll have 3 5-minute rounds with 30-second rest period in between. Now, Holly's seen the match. I've just read the rules again. Explain them to me. Repeat them.
Right. So
what do you think the rules were?
One count counts as a, you win this one, right?
Yeah, you win this once. Yep.
But there's 3. Was there? Hang on, I can't remember. There are 3 attempts at it, 3 5-minute rounds.
Correct.
So effectively, you have to pin them for free anyway.
No,
Well,
because they only did it once.
But
it's not. It's not a 2 out of 3.
I just don't understand. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. It's
because it never went into the 3rd round.
No.
You didn't notice that?
No, I just wanted it to finish.
Yeah, no. The first one they ran out of time. The second one we got the pinfall, and then so we didn't need the 3rd one.
Yes. Okay, makes logical sense.
So, like I said, that explains these rules. And I thought of all the. You must have thought when this played, like, that's why you've picked this show to confuse me. And I swear to God, I didn't.
Yeah, no. I'll be honest. I didn't think that, but I thought. Brilliant.
It was a happy coincidence on my part.
As the first match that's going to start, great.
Well, this is the bit that I get a bit frustrated with, and I saw it later in the show as well, when certain people already stood in the ring.
Yes.
At least this time it wasn't the champion stood waiting in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson later on. That annoyed me.
And you have to really wait sometimes for them to actually tell you who that person is, especially when you're me going, who is it?
Yes. So already stood in the ring as challenger from Tampa, Florida, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, who also has a pilot's license and is bald as a motherfucker now. Oh, he might be up your street, actually.
Oh, stop it.
He's not a good-looking man now.
Stop.
Accompanied by Miss Precious. The fans give Garvin a surprisingly good reception, and Holly, I'm not entirely sure what was louder, the fans, or those blue sparkly sequin pants he was wearing. I reckon you saw them and went, okay. Yeah, not quite Jessie.
No.
It's not quite Jessie, but it's something.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully it was something.
Miss Precious assists with the de-pantsing of the challenger as collegiate music begins to play, and out to the ring comes Snore Me Now, Mike Rotundo, accompanied by Kevin Sullivan. What a truly odd pairing that is.
Yeah.
So Mike Rotundo's the clean-cut amateur wrestler in this circumstance. Did you know he went to Syracuse University?
Oh, they mention it.
Yeah, they did.
Once or twice.
Yeah. Did you know he was wearing a singlet? Because he went to Syracuse University. It says Syracuse on it. He went to Syracuse.
Yes, I'll be honest, the singlet upset me greatly.
How do you have a more boring character than IR fucking S? It's ridiculous. Like, honestly, I can't think of a character more boring than this one.
No?
What would you have? Like a plumber come out? No, that's exciting.
Yeah,
that's something.
That's
Pizza delivery boy?
That would be brilliant.
With extra
actually.
sausage?
That would be brilliant.
I'm trying to think of what, a traffic warden?
We're just naming the village people.
Well, yeah, it does seem like I was going a certain way with it. What is the most least entertaining gimmick?
Ooh.
And I bet you it's not worse than what we see here with Mike Rotundo.
Yeah,
and I'm not even trying to be, like, it sounds like I'm really tearing into the guy. His fundamentals are fine.
Yeah.
Like, what he does in between the ringing of the bell, fine. Everything else just screams fucking boring to me. Even whether he's in the US Express at the first WrestleMania coming out with Barry Windham. There he had a bit of personality, actually, and was still boring.
Yeah.
IRS, get to fuck. And then this,
funny.
he comes out as a collegiate wrestler, and I'm like, there's going to be another show where he's going to come out as... we saw him as Michael Wall Street as well, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
In WCW.
Yes.
Oh my God. What a boring fucking man.
Do you think of all of the gimmicks they've given him, though? They literally just... It's the same type of...
Yeah.
Like, office guy.
Yeah, basically, he is the equivalent of watching paint dry.
The photocopier fixer.
Yeah. I tell you what, I reckon, get an audiobook. Hey, this is a business idea. So, Mike, if you're listening, which you're not, because why would you? I would suggest that you start doing audiobooks.
Yeah.
To help those with insomnia, because you are going to snooze the population. I'm tired thinking about it.
Poor guy.
Oh, yeah, he's a sweetheart. He genuinely seems like a lovely bloke. And the stuff when we saw about, him getting inducted with Barry Windham last year in the Hall of Fame, lovely. And I'm not trying to take away anything from the guy, but fuck me, boring. It just, you're nodding, so Holly's agreeing with me here. You know, wish you all the luck in the world. Hope you have a long, happy, healthy life. But fuck me, I find you boring as shit. As a wrestler, like,
Yes,
would I tell you what, okay, put it this way.
Yeah.
Any wrestler that I think is incredibly fucking boring, I could not express to you how many hours I'd spend just sat there listening to them talk about wrestling stories and asking questions with them.
Okay.
Because I find that stuff fascinating.
Yeah.
But on screen, as part of the actual gimmick, I'm like, oh my God, no. Let's no.
Yeah.
No, catch it, kill it, bin it.
Ooh,
Like,
okay.
it's, not for me. But anyway, match number 1, also, him being paired with Kevin Sullivan.
Right.
So Kevin Sullivan, his whole thing was he was quite ahead of the time in a lot of ways with the character that he portrayed. So he was kind of a demonic individual who was like dealt with the occult and this kind of stuff. He had the Dungeon of Doom, which would go up against Hulk Hogan in WCW, but he was doing this stuff from like the late 70s, early 80s, I think, in terms of the demonic stuff, which was considered to be wild at the time. So to pair him as the person coming out with
it doesn't make sense,
with
really.
apple pie Americana,
Yeah.
Mike Rotundo. I don't know. It was odd, and I didn't really understand. I didn't look into it beyond, to be fair, what we saw in the show, and I probably should have done. But anyway, so Mike Rotundo with Kevin Sullivan versus gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Ms. Precious for the NWA television title. After seeing who was going to be in this match, so I don't think you've seen a match with Jimmy Garvin in before.
No.
I don't know if you're even aware of him. Anyway, that's fine. With this rule set,
Yeah.
what did you think it was going to be, really? I can't even formulate it in a kind of, were you expecting this? What were you expecting?
Not a lot.
No?
I'll be honest, not a lot. I was expecting to be confused, which delivered.
Tick.
That
Next.
delivered.
Yeah.
But also, I guess, the people that it was as the show opener, I was a bit like, well, I know one of them, but also not really
Dressed in a singlet.
bothered. Yeah.
Is he allowed to wear a singlet?
No.
Even though he was an amateur wrestler at Syracuse.
Okay.
Did you know he went to Syracuse?
I had gathered.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
So
he
even
doesn't-
that.
He doesn't make the list.
Fine. That's fine. I think that's fair. When I heard the round system, because I think of the round system being a traditionally British thing. So in the World of Sport era, and a lot of British wrestling around those days, they did the classic. And if you, the Heritage Cup that they had in WWE UK NXT, that was a round-based match system because it was a throwback. So I always think of that.
Right.
And I'll be honest, my first thought was, please don't let this go the full 3 rounds. That was genuinely a concern of mine.
Okay.
Granted, already at this point, I knew that the main event was a long one, so I thought, okay, so how many matches? I wondered if they were going to do like the Royal Rumble, the first Royal Rumble, where we had 4 matches, but they dragged out the ones that shouldn't have been long
I see.
to fill the gap, and I'm
Yeah.
glad they didn't, but that was my genuine concern for this. So whose corner were you in?
Oh, God. I always have to pick one, but it was, and again, I called him IRS the whole time,
Brilliant.
just for ease of my notes.
Yeah.
So it had to be, because he's the only one I knew.
I'd have gone for gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. 1, jealous of the hair. 2, the pants were spectacular, even though he was de-pantsed before the match started. So I go with the face. As the champion is being announced in the ring, and he concludes his collegiate warm-up routine, Kevin Sullivan is introduced as the Games Master. Is it just me, or does that sound like the shittiest 1980s game show you have ever heard of?
Yeah.
Yeah? Also, yes, Holly, that is Teddy Long as the referee. Holla holla. Don't regret that at all. But before we can get this match underway, we head to the first of what I can only assume will be many commercial breaks. We return to the on-screen image of Mike Rotundo and Jimmy Garvin in their celebrity circles, with a TV title picture next to them, before heading back down to ringside. The bell sounds and this one is underway. Holly, I really need to know your thoughts on the full-on singlet that Mike Rotundo is fashioning here. Not one for the scrapbook.
No.
Okay, what more scrap heap than scrapbook?
Oh, that sounds so horrible.
But
I get the logic, but no. I
Fine.
prefer, if we're going to pick what he's wearing, I would prefer
suit.
him in the IRS.
I would prefer him in his underpants. I would. Oh dear. The 2 men begin to circle before Rotundo asks the official to get Garvin to step away. They eventually lock up where Garvin backs the champion against the ropes before giving a clean break. JR discusses the rules of how a 1 count will earn victory as we see the champion trip the leg of the challenger and secure back control on the canvas. Garvin fights his way back to his feet and presses the champion against the ropes, causing another break. The challenger is fired up, pumping his fists, and he even shoves Teddy Long, which would have been grounds for disqualification, no?
Yeah, I'd hoped.
Rotundo claims his trunks were pulled, but nothing comes of it, and for the second or third time we pan to cheering women in the crowd.
It really was women heavy.
It really was. Especially, I think that was the focus. Like going, oh, listen here, cave dwellers. There are some women at these shows. Come out and smell the pretty women. I think that's probably what they were going for there.
Is that the advertising?
I think it's just because it makes them look cooler. Because if you've got women screaming and the women are, let's say, not ugly women, I think they're going to say, oh, okay, there's something to be paid attention to here.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the logic behind it. Or it just so happens that it was very female heavy in the areas that they were filming. And I don't think they were plants. Rotundo claims his trunks were pulled. Women in the crowd. I sense that Holly will be overstimulated.
There's a lot going on. None of it good.
Arm drag takedown by the champion, who is very proud of his work, and he begins doing jumping jacks before exchanging shoves with the official. Another collar and elbow tie-up results with Garvin connecting with an arm drag and a quick hip toss, followed by a body slam. However, before he can make the cover, the champion quickly hurries under the ropes to the floor. The Games Master tries to soothe Rotundo as the fans are admittedly screaming for the gorgeous one. That's not Rotundo, by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Slowly, Rotundo returns to the ring where the two men lock up once again. Top wrist lock applied by Garvin, but it is quickly broken courtesy of a hair pull from the champion. As Garvin hurriedly closes back in, Rotundo ducks between the top and middle ropes to get out of the way. Side headlock applied by the champion, and he scores with a right hand, but his whip is reversed and he's dropped with a back elbow. Pin attempt is quickly kicked out of because there is no alternative under this rule set. Tom Miller kindly informs us that 3 minutes have elapsed of the round, and Holly is now all consumed by hearing the time.
We've talked about this before. I hate this. In any situation, if I know how long something is left to endure, I couldn't think of a different word, but
no,
you know
good
what I mean?
choice.
Like when there's a time limit.
Yes.
If someone says X amount of time, that's all I can focus on.
So how would you feel if someone was like, you're about to have the throes of passion, and the gentleman got out an egg timer and just went, okay, go, and then started doing his thing?
What?
But the egg timer was just in your peripherals.
Absolutely not.
Because you'd just be staring at the egg timer, wouldn't you?
Why would that ever happen?
Wait, what?
Why would that ever happen?
Is that not one? No.
Afraid not.
Mine's a very small egg timer.
Oh.
And we're done. Note to self, never tell that story again. Garvin now with a side headlock, which he transitions into a front face lock, driving the champion down onto all fours. Hello. Rotundo backs the challenger into the corner, where the referee administers the count until the two separate. When they do, Garvin shoves the champion in the chest, dropping him to the canvas before he bounces back to his feet, and both men have their fists cocked, ready for a fight. Teddy reminds the two that they're not allowed to exchange closed fists. Thanks, Teddy. They then tie up and return to the corner, where the ref does his best Earl Hebner impression by squeezing between the two men, allowing Rotundo to uncork a right hand out of view.
Highlight of the match.
The champ lifts Garvin into the air and drops him throat first across the top rope. Kicks to the ribs and a stamp to the head by Rotundo, who whips the challenger into the corner and levels him with a clothesline. He looks for a cover, but Garvin wisely rolls onto his front. I will say at this juncture, whoever is in charge of calling the camera shots has ADHD, as the motherfucker cannot allow anything to be focused on for more than a few seconds.
I know that feeling.
That's
like living in my brain.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like watching one thing and then all of a sudden catching something else at the corner of your eye,
yes.
And then being like, oh, what was I doing? Oh yeah, this.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah, you're forgetting like I haven't been out in public with you before.
I know.
As the champion furiously tries to get Garvin onto his back, we count down to the end of round 1.
Woohoo!
2 rounds left. We now head to the 30-second rest period before the bell sounds, and we get underway with round number 2. Rotundo charges in and lands a kick to the midsection before whipping Garvin into the buckles. Body slam in the middle of the ring, and now the champion heads to the top rope. Bold. Before he can do anything, though, he eats a punch to the gut and is press slammed all the way down to the canvas. Whip sends Rotundo to the ropes, and he's elevated with a back body drop. Garvin looks for a suplex, but as he does, Sullivan climbs onto the apron and looks to enter the ring, but is prevented from doing so by Miss Precious. Seeing his manager in trouble, the challenger gives up on the brainbuster to run over and land a number of right hands on the Games Master. Just like imagining school sports day, someone just punching the teacher with a whistle. It's all I'm
like
imagining.
A really over-enthusiastic parent.
Yeah. Bill Alfonso.
Oh, God.
With Garvin distracted, Rotundo secures a roll-up and we get the count of 1, which in accordance with these rules sees the champion retain the title. Mike Rotundo retains the NWA television title by pinfall. Unhappy with this turn of events, Garvin grabs the champion and delivers a brainbuster before returning to right hands on Kevin Sullivan. How do you feel about the brainbuster?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Rick Steiner now hits the ring and strikes Garvin, but Ms. Precious is there to smack him in the back with a massive piece of wood, which I have no fucking clue where she got that from. Jim Duggan?
Carried it in her purse.
Yeah, mate, it was like Mary Poppins.
Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking more Jim Duggan was just someone just went, do you want a bit of wood, so to speak?
Oh.
Yeah, he was very forward, was Jimothy. Now she has a coat hanger, I think, and begins choking Kevin Sullivan, and this, Holly, is unmitigated chaos. Garvin has to drag Miss Precious out of the ring as Kevin Sullivan furiously tries to keep her in the ring by her ankles. This one is over. Holly, thoughts?
My last note on this says, what in good Lord's name is going on?
I think that's fair.
I just got my head around the one and done as well.
Okay, they hit it and quit it, yeah?
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, it's finished. And as soon as it's finished, chaos. I don't really...
And you weren't invested in the story, so it was very confusing
No.
for you.
0.25 out of 5.
1 star.
Okay.
Because it over-delivered what I thought.
Okay.
Because I was
You didn't
expecting...
expect a lot.
Yeah, well, I thought it was just going to be like an amateur tussle, and as much as I can appreciate it, that's not what I want to see.
Okay.
So when they actually did start going to back elbows, press slams, body slams, backdrops, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
1 star, fine. And I liked how they had to kind of work within the rules, but still make it watchable. And I think they deserve a little bit of credit for that, like genuinely.
They did. I gave them a little bit of credit.
Yeah, 0.25, yeah. That's like, anyway, fine. It's
It's a quarter.
It is a quarter. Well done.
Like, I mean...
I think that's a little bit harsh, but I fully understand why you landed on that. Only way is up. Okay, sorry, a fly just went round my face. I thought I was having some sort of stroke.
No, it's there, I can see it.
And then the only reason that I realised that was real was because your eyes went to it and
Yeah.
are still going to it.
Yeah, it's still there.
So we've got a third co-host for this one,
Yeah.
Frankie the Fly. We head to another commercial break as a promotional graphic of Ric Flair appears on screen informing us that he'll be defending his NWA title later this evening.
I've just read my note.
Go on.
And I don't remember... This is so bad because I don't remember half the things I write. And I've put...
She just hit the fly, by the
I
way.
think I either need to be tipsy or high to watch this.
Okay, or
Neither
both.
of which was I.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting.
What'd you put?
What do you mean, what did I put?
You said you looked at your note.
Yeah, and I said...
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Right, I thought...
Yeah. And that would have made this show a whole lot different.
Fair. Harsh, but fair.
Yeah.
When we return, we're back at the commentary position, standing with Bob Caudle, who is interviewing Dr. Death Steve Williams. So Steve Williams, you'll remember from 92 Beach Blast.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He tag teamed with Terry Gordy against the Steiners.
Yeah.
We actually thought that was a very good match.
Yes.
This is Dr. Death.
Oh.
Yes. Bob congratulates Dr. Death about the recent tour of Japan before quickly shifting the conversation to what transpired with the American Dream. This, Holly, is not a good promo. Steve briefly mentions Japan before saying how much he likes and respects Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA, and whatever they did is just fine with him and they should keep on keeping on.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Death hopes that Sting wins the title match later tonight, but regardless of the result, he puts his name out there saying that he wants to compete against the winner. Apparently he is also as clean as he looks because he's been in the weight room pumping that iron, doing what it takes to be a champion. See, Holly, because he is a true champion.
Yeah, okay.
This is as good as the promo was, by the
Yeah.
way, just putting that out there.
Oh, yeah.
This also might be the first time that I've ever seen a promo finish with, bye-bye, take care,
With the... it's
with the flapping of the hand at the
flapping
camera.
hand.
You are supposed to be a killer.
Super manly.
What are you doing? You can't string a sentence together.
Bye, take care.
Bye-bye, take care. You Jerry Springer. Fuck are you doing, big man? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Legitimate tough guy, but fucking hell, that was a struggle. That was a struggle. Although I wet myself when I saw the bye-bye, take care.
Yeah.
For as fun as Dr. Death is within the ring, boy oh boy was this a stinky, stinky promo. Now we get a promotional graphic on the screen confirming that the Midnight Express will take on the Fantastics for the United States Tag Team titles. We'll get to that in a second because that would have confused the shit out of Holly as well. When we return from commercial, we see the front row fans... we see the front row of fans, each one of whom has got an individual sign that spells out Cornette.
Yeah.
I don't think they brought that from home.
I think they missed the O. Just
Cronette.
one cornetto.
Oh, okay. I was like, Cronette? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, okay. That would have been good if he came out to one Cornetto.
I'd love that.
Oh, shit, there's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Give it to IRS. Ice cream seller.
No, it's too exciting.
Yeah, Mr. Whippy. That would be his name. There you go.
Ooh, that's good.
There you go. When we return, we see that. And then we see the man himself stood in the ring with microphone in hand. Cornette introduces us to every mother's nightmare and every schoolgirl's dream. Careful. Beautiful Bobby and sweet Stan, the Midnight Express.
Sure.
It was ironic because
Yeah.
we'll get Bobby. What? What is this? What is the animal that died on your head, son? It is an offence. Like,
There is so much hair and bleach in this show. It's unreal.
I never take granted, that we've got all 5 working senses, but
Right.
sometimes you go, I could do without that one for a little bit, just when this is on the TV. Because what's it they call it? The ick? I see his hair and I feel like I've been sexually assaulted.
Oh.
Like, it's not a good feeling. It's an eyesore. It's a crime. He should serve prison time. And honestly, tell me now a more offensive haircut that we've seen. Okay, Jesse at Beach Blast 92, fine, take it back. But that seemed to be a crime to Jesse, whereas this seems to be a crime on me.
Oh, okay, on your eyes.
Yes, quite.
Yeah, fair.
But anyway, I put it to you, Holly, that the 2 men that walked down to the ring might be the least sexy men on the entire show. And Bobby Eaton's carrying his weight on this, because Stan Lane is fine, but Bobby Eaton's mullet is nothing short of a criminal offence. I even put that down. Good, I don't remember doing that, but I stand by that comment. The Midnight Express with Jim Cornette versus the Fantastics for the NWA the US Tag Team titles. 2 questions off the bat for you.
Oh, God.
1, whose corner were you in?
Oh. This was really hard, because I didn't care.
Yes.
The one that Cornette was not in.
Wow. So Cornette swung you the other way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a theme here. So you don't like Bill Alfonso, you don't like Jimmy Hart, you don't like Jim Cornette, you don't like Kevin Sullivan. Do you not like managers?
Some of them are fine. Do you know what I have a real problem with? Is the people that are there with something. Why? A megaphone, a whistle.
Do you know,
a
I can
racket.
explain that to you.
I just don't want it.
So the reason why Jim Cornette used to come round with a tennis racket is genuinely because it's part of his character. So the Jim Cornette character is supposed to be like a preppy, well-to-do boy whose parents come from a lot of money, which is hinted.
Boy, right?
Yeah, it's hinted on later. So he's a member of a tennis club.
Yeah.
So he brings his embroidered tennis racket cover with his tennis racket in there to signal that he is from a well-to-do background.
Right.
That's the idea behind it, and explains why there's so many of his mother comments later on in the show.
Yes.
So at least that makes sense. And you think, and a funny story actually, in primary school, so this is taking us away from the show momentarily.
Okay.
I think I've told you this before.
I think we've mentioned this before.
The talent show. And me and
my
my friends did wrestling, and we used a tennis racket as a weapon, because if you have the cover on and you hit them with the strings lightly, it makes like a thwack sound, so it sounds really painful, but it's fine. So you'd think, oh, that doesn't hurt. But as I mentioned to you before, Jim Cornette has used that as a weapon to lump the shit out of a fan who had special needs, which he didn't know at the time, who thought was attacking him, and he twatted it off the side of his skull. So it can do damage, but obviously the way that they use it for the show, and it's used as a weapon, I know, having used it, how that feels. So I'm like, brilliant. It's like Chuckle Brothers, isn't it?
It's just something about it. And I know the whole point. Like, I understand the point. Again, I think it's my brain. If I'm not invested in what's going on in the ring, my focus will be what goes on outside of it, which, again, does not help my focus.
I'm going to say something a little bit controversial here.
Go for it.
That if we're talking about tag team wrestling from this era, in stuff that we've seen, outside of anything featuring the Bulldogs, this is probably the best tag team match from this era we've seen.
Really?
I think so.
God.
It's taking aside even the chaos at the start, which we'll get into,
Okay.
if you just look at what they actually did in the match, it was quick moving. There was actually a lot of variety in the moves that they did. The pacing of it was good. Like, it didn't go on too long. The initial bit was a bit chaotic, but when the actual proper match side of it got underway, I'm happy to be proven wrong and have a debate about it, but I know you won't be able to recall anything from there, which is why I ruled out the Bulldogs, because the Bulldogs had very good matches as well. That this was actually a very, for the era, high quality tag team match.
Okay.
The second question I wanted to ask you about is, at what point did you realise that it was the US tag titles?
As opposed to just the normal...
Which we see later on in the show.
Yeah, probably about half an hour down the line or 45 minutes down the line when I see the other ones.
And I guess the follow-up question to that is, how do you feel about a mid-card tag team title belt? Because it's no different, really, from like a mid-card singles title.
Yeah.
But it feels odd, doesn't it?
It does feel weird. Like, if they did it now...
They don't have enough tag teams now.
No, but in my head I'm like, would it work? And I'm like, well, probably not, no. Because would I care? Probably not, no.
I guess the way that you could do it is treat the NXT tag team titles as being a mid-card thing. And whoever the champions are, that would be something I'd be interested to see, actually. Granted, the way they're doing it now is fine with, having NXT people then come up and be completely disassociated. But if you had the rule where if you're a champion, you can appear on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, speaking of, sorry, I'm going to go off topic.
Yeah, go for it.
Speaking of super quickly, NXT, I watched NXT
Stand and Deliver.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Do you know what I was about to say to you? I was like, depending on how long it takes us to watch that, I haven't seen it. I said, if you wanted to
I
watch
watched it again. It was that
really
good. It was that good.
Okay.
It far surpassed Mania Night 1 for me.
It's done that before as well, hasn't it?
Every single match for me was minimum 4 stars.
Really?
Yeah, and then there's 2 for me in there that were 5-star matches. Outstanding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stephanie
really
Vakir?
good. Really good. I don't want to give anything away for you, but
because
that good.
I specifically didn't watch it yesterday because I thought you probably wouldn't have done, and maybe we could.
No, I did watch it, but it wouldn't. It was that good. It wouldn't fuss me watching it again.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. And look forward to getting through our NXT takeover journey, where we'll eventually get to it as well. Okay, back to the match. So as the Fantastics make their way to the ring, we get to experience their incredibly sparkly ring jackets and little bow ties. Holly, thoughts?
Strippers.
Okay, yeah, fine. Contenders for outfit of the night. No sooner have the Fantastics made it to the ring, they are set upon by the Midnight Express. A Pier 4 brawl is underway as Tom Miller struggles to get out of the ring and avoid the carnage, but it isn't long before the action heads to the floor as well. There is a very funny moment early on where Tommy Rogers blocks going face first into the ring post, and without doing anything, somehow this results in Stan Lane then throwing himself face first into the ring post.
But you still got to drink twice.
You do.
Please.
As Fulton and Eaton brawl, because I'm not calling Bobby, because they're both Bobby. As Fulton and Eaton, also, guess what Eaton came out as? Eaton. As in, just Eaton.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Like, to me, in my head, it's Eaton Mess. Like, that's how it would come out.
Oh, no, that's the right spelling.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Brawl on the outside of the ring. Rogers takes flight and scores with a single punch to the face of Lane. Eaton messes with the wild...
Eaton Mess. Hey, I see what you did there.
No, that wasn't intentional. That is just how it came out. Eaton misses with a wild swing of a chair, connecting with a ring post. And now Fulton picks up the chair and cracks one half of the Express in the back. In the ring, we get a drop down and hip toss from Rogers before a double team whip and back body drop by the Fantastic finds its home. From the apron, Eaton rakes the eyes of the Fantastics, but still eats right hand from Fulton, which knocks him to the floor. The brawl continues on the outside, where we see Eaton throw a table towards his opposition, which doesn't result in much. However, Stan Lane does whip Tommy Rogers face first into Cornette's tennis racket, which drops him hard. I can only imagine how confused Holly is, as it has not been made clear whether this is a no disqualification contest. That being said, I don't actually recall hearing the opening bell.
No, I was my notes even say, what the hell is going on?
Because you were slightly ahead of me at this point, and you said it took me 5 minutes to know what was happening in this one. And I was like, I'll be honest, I was thinking, is she being a little thick here? And then I watched it and went, no, I get it.
For once it was justified.
Get it. We see Cornette drop a chair down onto Fulton as the chaos seems to have no end. Stan Lane chokes Fulton over the metal guardrail, and JR calls on commentary that referee Randy Anderson has precisely no control over what we are seeing.
Fully agreed.
The four men return to the ring, and dare I say it, is a formal match about to begin?
I hope so.
Eaton applies a side headlock but is pushed off and Fulton makes the tag. Leapfrog by Rogers and Eaton is surprised by a waiting Fulton who body slams him. All 4 men are back in the ring and a brawl continues.
Right.
Both members of the Express are whipped into the buckles with Lane landing in the Tree of Woe position. That's impressive. Fulton gives the win twice approved, or as this says here, the win twice approved Sesame Street punches in the corner, the first of many we'll see in this show. Yeah,
don't take me wrong, I love these because, where they came from. Later, not so much.
Funny that. And the match now seems to return to a standard tag team format. Woo-hoo. Punch by Rogers, but Eaton tags in Lane and they level him with a drop-down trip clothesline combination. Lane drives Rogers face first into the canvas as the fans are losing their mind for the Fantastics. Really loud support for them here.
Oh, yeah.
Stiff kick puts Rogers on the canvas and Eaton is once again the legal man. His hair would have fooled me. Slow and steady punches by Eaton puts Rogers down time after time. With the referee distracted, Rogers finds himself whipped face first into a table that Jim Cornette has lifted to be beside the ring ropes. I've never seen that. No. That's weird and funny, and I'm okay with it. Lane is back in the ring and connects with a leg drop and a big elbow drop before scoring with a junkyard dog-like scampering headbutt to the lower back.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's only one person that's allowed to do those.
And even he's not allowed to do it
no.
to you. Yeah, not to you, in your opinion.
But
yeah. Rogers fights back with a shoulder block, but Lane is too close to his corner and tags Eaton back in, who scores with a beautiful power slam. Now the mulleted man, or has got here malted, now the mulleted man heads to the top rope and scores with an elbow drop.
Obviously.
I was fine with that. JR says that perhaps he should have covered him, but instead he tags out.
I agree.
Lane connects with a gut-wrench suplex before spitting at Fulton. Double team beat down on Rogers until the referee's attention returns to the action in the ring. Lane places Rogers over his knee and Eaton connects with a top rope axe handle to the throat. From the apron, Fulton grabs a handful of Eaton's mullet and holds on until the referee forces him to stop. Rogers unloads with right hands, trying to fire back, but is cut off with a knee to the midsection, and this is followed by more Sesame Street punches in the corner. Lane back in, but he ducks too early off a whip and is countered with a sunset flip that causes the girls in the crowd to lose their shits.
Yeah.
Randy Anderson is distracted, enabling Eaton to kick Rogers in the head and prevent the pinfall. Lovely crescent kick by Stan to the back of the head, and now he tosses Rogers between the ropes to the outside. Bobby Fulton is quick to scamper around and protect his tag team partner, but it doesn't prevent Eaton from body slamming Rogers on a table lying flat on the cement floor. We're reminded that we're in the Greensboro Coliseum, as it looks like Rogers, in self-defense, throws a chair at Eaton, but that still doesn't stop him from being bulldogged back onto the table on the floor. From the apron, Stan lands a number of stomps onto the head of Rogers, who staggers away where he is met with his tag team partner, who is in deep discussion with the referee. Fulton looks to help Rogers back into the ring, and I'll be honest, I don't know how much that will help him.
No.
Drop toe hold by Lane leaves Rogers vulnerable to the elbow drop that scores to the back of the head by Eaton. Blatant choke in front of the referee, and Rogers looks like he is absolutely fucked. He's been assaulted in this match as Rogers. Poor Tommy Rogers. He manages to fire a couple of right hands at Eaton and block the cheap shot from behind from Lane before dropping him as well. However, when he leaps for a tag and makes it despite the efforts of Eaton, the official did not see it and therefore it did not count.
This ref is absolute dross, honestly.
Randy Anderson, we hardly knew ye. JR is losing his shit on commentary, but not more so than Mr. Fulton, who grabs Randy Anderson by the back of the hair and throws him out of the ring. Cornette is in the ring, and whilst Eaton restrains Fulton, he looks to swing his tennis racket at his skull, but he moves out of the way, leading to Eaton taking the force of the blow before Corny takes a right hand and a spectacular jumping bump onto his back.
Mm-hmm.
Rogers climbs to the top rope and with the assistance of his partner is propelled on top of the fallen Eaton with a splash. New official counts the 1, 2, 3. It looks like we have new US Tag Team Champions. The party is short-lived, however, as Randy Anderson is disqualifying the Fantastics due to the actions moments ago by Fulton. Fair enough. Cheeky dropkick by Stan Lane sends Rogers draping over the middle rope. 619.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
And that seems to have the signal for the brawl to continue, although the match is very much over. Cornette is swinging at anything that's moving with his racket, and for as little as that would hurt, it does make a great sound. The Midnight Express now landed a double team. What is this move called? Holly.
Honestly, no. Electric chair.
Correct. Flapjack on Bobby Fulton, and now they are lashing away with a leather belt across the back.
I got the belt whips.
You did? Good.
That was it.
Cornette is really getting some licks in here until they all flee when Rogers returns with a steel chair. Cornette woos and celebrates on the outside as his team, the Midnight Express, retained the NWA United States Tag Team titles by disqualification. Holly, what were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, question mark at the end. I don't feel like I've been too harsh with my scoring on this one, but there's too much going on. There's too much going on. Cornette just annoys me, and I appreciate that means he's doing a good job.
Yep.
I get that. It just irritates me. Just go away. Just go away. All of them. Just let me watch a match. Just leave me be. I also wrote that I felt like after watching that I needed to be taken out either by a sniper or something else.
For a lovely meal?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Either would have done.
Yeah.
2 out of 5.
Okay. 3.25 I gave it.
Jesus.
I enjoyed it. I thought the action was well paced. The brawling, like I said, went on a little bit too long, but it made sense to highlight the heated rivalry between the two teams. I thought it made me want to see the Fantastics then kick the shit out of the Express somewhere down the line, which is the whole point. So what it aimed to do, I thought it delivered.
Okay.
It didn't go on too long, so yeah, I thought it was above average, and I landed on 3.25.
Fair.
After we have seen the replays of what just transpired, we are taken to an on-screen commercial for NWA Main Event, broadcasting on Sundays at 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time on the TBS Superstation. Don't look that up now because it's not going to be there. When we return from the commercial break, we're once again positioned in the bleachers looking down at the ring before transitioning to Bob Caudle at commentary. Bob tells us that the action from this evening has only just begun and points out that the men behind him at ringside are wrapping barbed wire around the ropes for the Texas Death Match, which we will see later this evening. Holly is concerned.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What went through your head when you heard him say that?
Why?
It's a heated rivalry, Holly. We got to have some barbed wire.
But also, my brain does also go, I'm not going to see a lot of it anyway with the picture quality of what we've got. So
there you go.
Fine.
See, that strike had already, because she's had a couple of strikes go past her, that one was not going to be tolerated, I'm afraid. So I think at this point, Holly has already struck out the competition and everything from here was going to be an annoyance. That is my opinion of how Holly would have taken in this show, shall we say.
Don't know what you mean.
Bob now wants to introduce us to a man that is in Leave It to Beaver, plays Eddie Haskell. Well, actually, the actor is Ken Osmond, who plays Eddie Haskell in the show, and he's here awaiting a man he admires greatly, who is set to inherit a great deal of money. Into shot comes Holly's new favourite, Jim Cornette. Corny asks him if he's going to stay around, but Jim is more interested in Cornette's tennis racket, as he used to play a bit himself, don't you know?
But he did.
Ken says that he'd like to go to Cornette's mother's house,
Cheeky.
where they can play a game of tennis. Cornette looks at his watch and says his mum can probably put the ashtrays out as long as he promises to stay away from the silverware. This, we are informed, wounds Ken. Osmond follows up by saying that Cornette is listening to the babblings of an old bat. She might be getting up there in years, Jim reminds him, but she is still loaded.
God.
After Cornette gets a plug-in for the Midnight Express, Osmond returns the conversation to the mansion and asks whether Jim's mother could take the blender all the way to the hot tub.
So ridiculous. That annoyingly did make me chuckle though.
That could be taken two ways.
To me, that's literally like electrics in water.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Or is he saying he wants to woo her with some cocktails in the jacuzzi?
Oh.
Without having to go back and forth. But I took it as electrocution
I took
first.
It like, it's like putting a toaster in the bath.
Yes, exactly. Sounds less romantic though, that for some reason.
True.
But yes, Jim says that his mother always wanted him to grow up like the boy from Leave It to Beaver because he had such good manners. Osmond says that Cornette's mum has great taste. We now head back to Bob Caudle. That was it, by the way.
Yeah.
We now head back to Bob Caudle at ringside, and he is standing beside Al Perez and his manager, Gary Hart. Bob says that the two men will be there because they want championships and money, and I guess championships would lead to money, but Playboy Gary Hart sets the record straight. The reason they're here is because they wanted to be part of this broadcast going out across the country. But not only that, they are here to make a legitimate challenge to the American Dream Dusty Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
Al says that when you train as long and as hard as he does, when it comes down to competing for the US title, it will take someone with a baseball bat to beat him. A gale storm could not keep him from that title. Gary, seconds this opinion and says, for the sake of the American Dream, he hopes that they legalise baseball bats in professional wrestling. With that promo done, Cordell discusses the upcoming dates for the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup. Bob now passes over to Francis Crockett, although it does sound like he says Francis Cockett. And I went back and he says Francis Cockett.
Oh, okay.
Backstage, we see that Francis Crockett is stood before a blue backdrop next to a drawing of the Jim Crockett Sr. Memorial Cup.
She's so excited.
No fucking around with Francis as she quickly rattles off the top 10 teams competing in the tournament. At number 10, we've got Ivan Koloff and Dick Murdoch. 9 is Sting and Ron Garvin. 8 is the Varsity Club. 7, the Fantastics. 6, Barry Windham and Lex Luger. Can you do the do-do-do-do-do-do?
Oh, the music in
yeah,
the background.
Please. 5, the Powers of Pain. No?
I'm not doing
Okay.
it.
4, the Midnight Express. 3, do-do-do-do, the Road Warriors. 2, Nikita Koloff and Dusty Rhodes.
And coming in
And
at
in at number
one.
1 is Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. With that piece of business done, we see a graphic on the screen informing us that up next are the Road Warriors and Dusty Rhodes who will be seeking revenge.
I wish she had sounded as excited as you did while reading that, because I've never heard a more monotone reading
Yeah, you
in
have.
my life.
Yes, you have.
Who?
Linda McMahon.
Oh, God, yeah. Mate, this, honestly, it's like reincarnate. Like,
Don't marry a wrestling promoter because you'll be a boring bitch.
Yeah.
Is what we've learnt here.
this, it was shocking.
Unemotional, placid, lifeless, morgue-like mentality.
Yeah, there's no life behind those eyes.
No, she has seen some shit. She's just seen like 5 guys go by just snorting lines and like fucking each other. I don't know what they do.
God.
And she's just like done with it all.
Yeah.
She's just like, in the top 10. Oh, it's just...
Yeah, it was bad, wasn't it?
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. Oh, dear. Oh, okay. We return from commercial break, and as expected, the Road Warriors make their way to the ring alongside a face-painted American Dream. Animal appears to be wearing a Jason Voorhees mask, and they're not wearing their usual spiked shoulder pads, which makes me a sad boy.
Yeah.
We get another quick reminder about NWA main event. However, the next graphic informs us that it's actually a Chicago street fight, but it does say in brackets 6-man Texas barbed wire. So, Holly, is it Chicago or is it fucking Texas?
Trez confused.
The match. The Road Warriors and Dusty Rhodes versus the Powers of Pain, who you do know,
Yes.
and Ivan Koloff.
Yes.
Whose side were you on?
Dusty. And,
Baby.
yeah.
You weren't expecting good things from this, were you?
No.
It's alright, you didn't get it. We return from an on-screen graphic with the heels already stood at ringside and the crowd in a full USA chant. JR says that out in Oklahoma, barbed wire was part of life on the farm, keeping animals on your property in their enclosure.
Well, yeah, that's the standard use. Isn't
Thanks,
it? And
Jim.
Keeping people out.
Yep.
Like,
These men are humans, not animals, although they'll have to show their animalistic nature in order to survive a match like this. Easy for me to say.
Sure.
Ivan rolls into the ring and immediately catches himself on the barbed wire before Dusty Rhodes lays into him with elbows.
Quite funny.
Not the only time he does that in the match either.
No.
This will be tough on the notes as all 6 men will be brawling at the same time. Therefore, I'll pick out the key moments of note.
Thank you.
All 6 men are brawling, but Hawk connects with a beautiful dropkick to the chin of the Warlord. Animal grinds the forehead of the Barbarian into the barbed wire before heading out the ring to chase Paul Jones away. Barbarian also heads to the outside and is run face first into the ring post.
Drink, please.
Ivan again catches himself on the barbed wire before Dusty introduces him to it properly. Another nice drop kick by Hawk lands, this time on Barbarian. Warlord has Animal backed into the corner and he tries to claw at the eye through the mask, which we learn Animal is wearing for protection due to a recent injury to the area.
Oh, I've got a comment about this later.
Oh, is it the kick at the end?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great press slam by Hawk on Koloff, and he... Oh, by the way, Koloff is just going to put a colon.
Oh, on your notes?
Yep.
Oh.
So that was fun. And he follows up with a jumping fist drop. All 6 men are up against the ropes with the crowd growing frantic at the idea of the American Dream being punished with the sharp barbs and getting cut open. But he loves getting cut open. Ivan begins biting. What?
Oh. Go on.
Wow. Clawing is what I went for.
Yeah.
Ivan begins biting and clawing away.
Chlorine.
Yeah. At Dusty, who is, of course, bleeding.
Standard.
Series of left hands land from Dusty on Warlord, and the big right puts him down on the canvas. I like when he's landing the jabs and the crowd are going, ooh, ooh. I thought that was quite good. Dusty scores with a DDT on Barbarian, which I don't think I've ever seen him hit, so that's something. Okay. And no sooner have I seen that, he lands another on Koloff. Schiavone says that this match hasn't been going for long, but all men are exhausted already. Way to call them out, Tony. Body slam on Animal by Warlord, but he runs into a power slam. Barbarian heads to... What? Body slam on Animal, but he runs into a power slam. Okay, yeah, fine. Barbarian heads to the top, but misses with a diving headbutt and connects with his own partner. Animal makes the cover, and we get the 1, 2, 3. Road Warriors and Dusty Rhodes win by pinfall. The bell sounds and the crowd go wild. Not great in terms of in-ring action, but the crowd loved it.
I don't know why.
The brawling is, of course, not done, and Animal has the face protection knocked off his head.
No, it doesn't.
As the heels look to continue to dole out some damage. So tell me about this kick that Animal takes to the head that he then rips off his helmet.
Right, don't show it in slow-mo. In normal speed, they can get away with it. What they then do is show it in slow-mo. You see him like edge it off his head a little bit, gets kicked and knocks his head back, which still doesn't send this mask flying. So the guy pulls it off his own head.
And then bobbles his head round and then collapses.
Don't show it in slow-mo if it's that bad.
I thought it was funny.
I mean, but it's one of those that's so bad it's funny.
I honestly... Do you know what, though?
Ridiculous.
I didn't... Even with how stupid it is, I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine.
Just fun. Like, it was funny.
Why didn't they just pull it off and then kick him in the face?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Stupid.
Maybe it's supposed to be more impactful that way. I don't know. But either way.
Yeah.
Using Ivan's chain, Wrapped Fist drops Animal to the canvas and Hawk gets the same treatment. As the Powers of Pain continue to double-team Animal, Koloff commences whipping Hawk with a length of steel. The beatdown comes to an end when Dusty makes it back to his feet and connects with an elbow on the Russian. Clothesline with the chain by Hawk sends Barbarian to the outside and the Hills all take their leave. Holly, do you recognise the man with the white jacket who enters the ring at this moment in time?
Oh, go on.
That is Paul Ellering, the manager of the Road Warriors, but also a current manager of the Authors of Pain, albeit with a lot less hair.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
We see, courtesy of a replay, the moment Barbarian kicks the face covering off Animal, but it doesn't change the end results.
No.
Holly, what's your rating?
0.5.
Okay, I went 1.25, only because it was quick.
It was, yeah.
And the crowd loved it.
They really did.
Really loved it. That's how popular Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors were.
Fair.
I was still shocked by how short the match was.
Yeah.
It was like, it can't have been 5 minutes.
Of all of the matches, that one surprised me that was as short as it was.
I genuinely think it was like no more than 5 minutes. It can't have been.
I don't think it was at all.
But again, I was fine with it. Had it gone on longer, the longer that went on, the lower that score was going to get.
Start ticking down.
For sure. When we return from commercial, we head back to the commentary team of JR and Tony Schiavone, who informs us that you can only see excitement like this in the NWA. I don't think that's the selling point that you want, really, to be fair, after that. But anyway, an audience member is in full Sting cosplay and looks very much the part and sounds the part too as he woos in the background.
Very good.
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
Tony says that he will be hosting NWA main event, and each week you'll see some of the best action possible in the world of professional wrestling. But the night isn't done, and JR reminds us that we still have 2 championship matches left to see. The world title and the world tag team titles, which is when your brain goes, huh? I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I was like, hang on, we've already seen this.
Part 2.
Seen it again.
The arse must have fallen out of you when you thought that they were going to come back out for another match. Yeah. Because you've got a real thing about seeing someone more than once.
I don't want to see you more than once.
Well, look forward to the Progress double header that we're going to be seeing, because we'll see some of them 4 times.
But that's different. That's the format of a show.
Tournament.
Like, I get that.
So a show like that is naturally going to be fine. WrestleMania 4.
Yeah, absolute wank.
Which was structured like a tournament.
No, but it wasn't good though.
Okay, fine. Oh dear. As JR signs off, he says that Nikita Koloff is now standing with Bob Caudle, and Nikita is sporting a very different look.
Yes.
An incredibly gruff-sounding Nikita begins talking about how unique he is. There is only one Nikita Koloff, and just like Gorbachev, he is a new breed of Russian. Holly, what part of Russia do you think Nikita is from?
Oh, you're going to tell me he's not from there.
That's right, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Nikita says that he wishes, because the whole time he's like...
I'll be honest.
Yeah. Struggled to hear him?
I wasn't paying masses of attention.
Because you liked him?
No. Because I was just a bit like... And I thought, is he actually speaking Russian here? And then I was like, no, he's just speaking in such a gruff, like, low tone that I just haven't got a clue what he's saying.
Yeah. Look up Nikita Koloff and I'll tell you now he'll be on your list.
Really?
Yep.
What, like now?
Well,
or back then?
Back then, when he had his shaved head.
Okay. I mean, I remember seeing him in a suit and being like, oh, that's all right. Hang on.
Yeah, well, Holly's going to be doing some researching. The interesting bit will be the spelling of the name.
Spelling is... Oh, it's fine. My phone knows how I work. It just auto-corrects me. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I mean... Yeah, I don't like that singlet, though.
No, I didn't think the singlet was going to be the selling point, I'll be honest.
In a suit? Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah, I thought he would be the favourite on the night, although, he's in a suit here, but it doesn't quite look the same without the facial accompaniments.
No, yeah, it's got to have the... Yeah.
So, anyway, Holly's back in the room.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, something to look at later. Yeah. Nikita says that he wishes he could say over the last 2 months he's had a good time and taken it easy, but that just isn't the case. He travelled far and wide and spoke to many young people where he's talked to them about the virtues of getting high on sports and not getting high on drugs. He never came to my school, that's all I'm saying. Nikita thinks that health and life is very important and that he has someone very near to him that is struggling for life every day. So when Kevin Sullivan came out and tries to take his health from him, he begins to fight. He becomes a fighter, in his pidgin English. Nikita says he doesn't need a title belt to be a champion. He has held every title going apart from the world heavyweight title, and he doesn't care if it's Ric Flair or Ron Garvin or even his tag team partner Dusty Rhodes, baby. Nikita Koloff will be coming after them. He also has a special message for Tully Blanchard, who had the audacity to attack his personal friend Magnum TA. So this was already after the time where Magnum TA had the motorcycle crash that basically ended his career.
Right.
Motorcycle crash? No, it was a car crash. Either way, ended his career, and they brought him to do occasional bit of interviewing and stuff. So bearing in mind he was struggling to stand up, let alone do anything else, and there was an incident where Tully Blanchard, where he's being interviewed, attacks him at ringside, and I believe that is the moment that they're referring to there. It wasn't a motorcycle. He wrapped his car around a post, I'm pretty sure, after he aquaplaned on a road.
Ooh.
Which is mad because you look at him. Have you ever looked up Magnum TA?
No, but I'll do that now.
Yeah, look up Magnum TA in his prime, because he had literally everything going for him. The look, the wrestling ability, the promo ability was good, and he was young. And they were talking about him being the next.
A bit like Jake the Snake.
Stash and Jake hair. Jake wishes. But he was being built up to be the next big thing. I think if Tully Blanchard had been round, Sting would never have got to the level that he did.
Jesus, it showed a picture of his car.
The car, yeah, it's like unrecognisable as a car, isn't it? Is it
that
a black
he
car?
survived that.
Or is it a
I mean,
dark
the
car?
picture's in black and white.
But it's a dark car, isn't it?
Jesus, to survive that is insane.
Yes, but he's still going now, by the way. He's not dead.
Oh yeah, there's a newspaper thing. Jesus, and it was a Porsche Turbo.
Yes, and he aquaplaned, I'm pretty sure, on the surface.
Broke his back.
Yep.
Oh my god, that is insane.
And I think he was about 20.
He was 27.
Yeah, I was going to say mid to late 20s.
27 years old, 6'3".
Mm-hmm. And built like he was, obviously, because of Magnum PI, he had the Selleck mustache, and that was kind of the gimmick that they went with him.
Jesus.
But he had everything going for him, everything you could possibly want, and he's probably one of the biggest what-ifs in wrestling.
Wow, that's
because
insane.
Ric Flair was saying, he said, I know that I would have been losing the title to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a shame, that one, but that's who Magnum TA is, and obviously this is after that where he's doing the odd little bit, but he never wrestled again. No. That was it. That was his career done. That, like I said, damn near his life done as well. He says that Tully must have something wrong in the head. Nikita's final passing comment is that he and his tag team partner Dusty Rhodes will be at the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup looking to defend the title. When we return from the next commercial break, we see a graphic promoting the upcoming World Tag Team title match between Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard against Barry Windham, who's becoming a frequent haunt of these shows, actually, and Lex Luger.
Yeah.
When you knew it was going to be Lex Luger, were you like,
No, actually, I think I was all right. I was all right with it.
Okay.
Mainly because 3 out of the 4 people there I actually knew.
No, you know 4.
Yeah, but I'm remembering these people.
Okay, so Tully Blanchard is the one you don't remember.
Exactly, yeah.
He was also teaming with... Okay, I'll tell you the exact match and then you'll remember it.
Yes.
At WrestleMania, I am going to say... Was it 5 or 6? It was either... 6. There was a tag team match between the Brainbusters of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, so the same pairing here,
right,
against Tito Santana and Rick Martel, Strike Force.
Ooh.
And Rick Martel walked out on Tito Santana in that match.
Yes, okay, now I'm there.
That was Tully Blanchard as well there.
Thank you very much.
So, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard with JJ Dillon versus Barry Windham and Lex Luger for the NWA World Tag Team titles. Holly, whose corner were you in for this one and why?
Luger and Windham.
Okay. You went on Luger's side.
I did, which was surprising to me.
I go Arn and Tully all day.
I think I finished this after I'd watched my little sob fest.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So I think it got me in the feels.
Okay, fine. So I wonder now if we see any mid-90s Luger, if you'll change your stance on him. A couple of questions straight off the bat for you, Holly. Yes. What are your thoughts on the tag team champions already standing in the ring?
Yeah, no, I don't like it.
It's not good, is it?
No.
It's not good.
But if it means I don't have to watch an entrance for a couple of minutes and it shortens down the time,
why would you hate my notes? The show's still the same length. Secondly, is the first time you've seen a young Lex Luger.
Yes.
Does he look happy?
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
The challengers make their way down to the ring to a great reception from the fans, and I wonder if this will be the match that convinces Holly that Lex had potential at one point in time.
Maybe.
Tommy Young is our official, and this is the first match in what feels like forever that has actually gotten underway without a jump start. The bell sounds as Tully and Lex circle one another in the middle of the ring. They lock up and Luger powers Blanchard across the ring with a hefty shove before flexing in his face.
To a sea of cheers from all the women in the audience.
Indeed, with his finely glossy blonde hair.
I told you, there's a lot of blonde.
There's a lot of blonde. He is actually a natural blonde, though, to be fair to him. Anderson has already seen enough and jumps in the ring to attack Lex from behind. And as Windham enters to protest, the official is preoccupied keeping the face out of the ring. Beat down in the corner and a double team whip sends Lex into the buckles and he runs out and levels Blanchard with a clothesline. However, Anderson managed to duck being caught himself and he taps on his temple, but he celebrates too early as he turns around and is met with a second clothesline from Luger. High five to Windham on the apron is not considered a tag.
Gee, this so confused me. I was like, oh, it's a tag. Oh, they're
sometimes,
high-fiving.
Sometimes I just put a note in there because I know what your brain will have done. So I thought, as part of me talking, I'll explain
Thank you.
High five to Windham on the apron is not considered a tag, and Luger follows up with a power slam on Tully after a whip to the ropes. Early torture rack applied by the total package, but Arn is swiftly in the ring to kick him in the back of the knee as Dillon distracts the referee from the outside. Anderson now the legal man, and he drops a pair of elbows to the knee of Lex before an unrelenting series of knees to the same joint. Tag back to Tully, who lands... What? Ooh. Lands in the of his own.
Lands a knee of his own?
That is exactly it. Lands a knee of his own. Yeah, that's exactly it. Really well done.
Check me.
Yeah, you're used to dealing with typos, aren't you? That's why.
Yeah, usually from my own work.
That was fantastic. Yeah. Anderson now the legal man, and he drops a knee of his own. No. Tag back to Tully, drops a knee of his own, there we go, and he drags Lex's leg over the bottom rope to drive his weight down on it. Luger tries to fight back with right hands to the midsection, but is taken down quickly with another shot to the leg from the enforcer to return to the match. What?
I can't help you on that one.
No, that's just not English, is it? Luger tries to fight back with right hands to the midsection, but is taken down quickly with another shot to the leg, enabling the enforcer to return to the match. Right, there we go. Yeah. Spinning toe hold is attempted, but Lex boots on face first into Blanchard on the apron. Tully back in, but so is Barry Windham, and they both not... Sorry, what? So is Barry and Windham.
Yes.
Barry and Windham. Yeah. Both of the same person.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. and they knocked both members of the tag team champions on their backside, and they've literally pluralised it like I was talking about two people. Wyndham came in, he knocked both of the fuckers down on their arse. That's the takeaway from this. Before delivering a win twice approved double noggin knocker.
Big fan.
And we only see one of them as well. We don't see 40,000 attempts like we do later. No. Flying clothesline connects from the challenger and he lands a knee drop to the top of the head. A second whip sees Wyndham score with a power slam, but Tully kicks out at 2. Poor camera shot here as it instead focuses on Dylan as the count is being made. Sleeper hold applied by Wyndham and Blanchard looks to be fading fast. They stagger to the ropes and fall between the top and middle strands to the outside, but the hold remains in place. The official heads outside and insists that the hold is broken, which it is, and when Barry returns to the ring, Anderson is quickly behind his partner trying to wake him up with a shoulder rub, which is definitely the way to bring someone back down.
It's great.
Imagine that's exactly what you'd have wanted. So let's say you fell off the ladder. Well, you did fall off the ladder. You were knocked out, and then I then just propped you up and went, hey. And then started squeezing your shoulders. I don't think that'd be well received.
Given in to concussion then at some point.
Given in? Hello, what am I trying here?
Concussion.
Hello, what's that going in your mouth? Don't worry.
Relaxing rather than
just like hey,
slap him around a bit.
Yeah, definitely hit someone with a concussion.
No, but
that's exactly what they do. They say, don't go to sleep and smack them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right in the face.
Shake them, all the best things.
Yeah. All the best babysitters do, apparently.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, well, we've gone there. Spinning to hold his attempt. Oh, no, we're way past that. We're so far past that, it's scary. From the apron, Tully guillotines Wyndham's neck over the top rope, and we are again reminded on screen that we're in the Greensboro Coliseum.
In case you'd forgotten.
Well, you probably had, to be fair. Had you?
No, because they mentioned it so much, but I also like the way they say it, because it's not, we would say it like borough, but it's borough.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
The spelling.
I really like that. Greensboro.
The spelling I actually had to change to the American version because it annoyed me. Blanchard heads to the top rope but is caught and press slammed down to the canvas with force. Big right hand knocks Anderson off the apron, and when he quickly returns, he makes the tag, but the ref for some reason says it doesn't count.
Yeah, why?
Didn't understand. No. Off the ropes, and Wyndham applies an abdominal stretch. JJ climbs to the apron to distract the official, allowing Anderson to enter the ring and break the hold with a right hand to the face. Beautiful DDT from Arn finds its home, but it is only enough for a count of 2. He used to do this thing, which I love, and I never see anyone do it. And honestly, it should be... If you're a wrestler now, take this move because it is great. And I've only ever really seen Arn Anderson do it. You know when someone whips someone off the ropes and they duck early and they always eat the kick?
Yes.
Instead of that, as soon as someone ducked down, like Arn Anderson used to cock his fist, they'd duck, and then he'd hit them with a DDT because they put themselves in position for it. Brilliant.
True.
Just do that. Someone do that, please. I really like it. Whip sends Wyndham off the ropes, and we see the perfect double A spine buster. Nice, but it's still not enough for the 3. Arn tries to force the shoulders of Barry to the mat, but he powers out, and when Anderson looks to drive all his body weight down, Wyndham raises the knees to the groin. The crowd are unrelenting in their support for the challengers here. Tully is back into the ring and delivers an elbow to the top of the head and a big right to the midsection. A number of right hands to the face put Wyndham on the canvas, but we only get a 2 count. Wyndham ducks a clothesline attempt and lands a crossbody for a near fall. We get a push-off from a side headlock and a drop down from Tully, but the 2 men collide heads, leaving both men down on the canvas. Side headlock takedown by Tully, get used to that by the way. And we get head scissors escape from Wyndham. Jackknife pin attempt from Blanchard sees both men bridge up back to their feet, which is always impressive.
Always.
Big gut wrench suplex from Wyndham scores, and both men are down once more. Anderson tags back in and unloads with shots to the gut in the corner before applying an arm wringer. One twist of the arm sees Barry flipped onto the canvas, but he boots Anderson away to break free and looks to crawl to his corner before being tackled on his knees. Snapmare takedown, but Anderson misses with a knee drop attempt. Both men... No, okay, I know what it means. Both men score, although it says school. Both men score with big right hands, and this results in them hitting the deck unable to capitalise. The butt fall by Arn was particularly pleasing, I thought. Tully, or as it's put here, Telly, gets the tag and rushes Telly Tubby Blanchard. Brilliant.
Hey, mine is Arm Anderson the whole time.
Yeah, I couldn't say it. Why do you think I put Anderson? Because if I put
true.
Arm,
I just left it was
Arm
in the end.
Yeah. Tully gets the tag and rushes in to deliver a slingshot suplex off the top rope, and he celebrates before making the pin for the 1, 2, no. Wyndham gets his shoulder off the canvas. The champions can't believe it, and JR says neither can he. Right hand is blocked from Blanchard, and Barry lands one of his own, causing Tully to fall into the tag, but before Anderson can cut him off, Wyndham also makes the tag to Luger. Fans go fucking mad.
Of course.
Back elbow puts Anderson down, and Blanchard is knocked down on the apron. Whip and southpaw clothesline from Lex connects as the challengers build some momentum. Another clothesline puts Anderson down, and we get a second double noggin knocker of the match, so I lied.
Yes.
Knee from On. Oh, I did put On there, but Lex applies a side headlock that sees him pushed off, but he knocks Anderson down to the canvas with a shoulder tackle. Lex hits the ropes, but runs into a knee of the spine. Into a knee of the spine from Tully, who's on the outside. Corner whip is reversed by the total package, and he scores with a power slam as Anderson staggers back out from the buckles. Lex is flexing once more, but doesn't go for the cover and eats a shoulder to the midsection for his troubles. Wyndham runs into the ring, knocking Tully down, and as the official's attention is here, JJ on the apron is holding a chair in place. But ultimately, it's Anderson who is whipped face first into the steel.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Like, because you could have moved it, but never mind.
Hook of the leg by Luger, and we get the 1, 2, 3. Dylan tries to make it into the ring to break up the pin and trips and falls in his attempt, and we have new NWA World Tag Team Champions. Barry Windham and Lex Luger win the NWA World Tag Team titles by pinfall. A new era in tag team wrestling has begun, screams JR, as the champions raise the title belts high into the air before leaving the ring and making their way back down the aisle. Holly, what did you think of this match?
I thought so far in the evening this was the best match I had seen, for me personally. 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
That'll do.
3.25, and I put it on par with the tag team match from earlier for similar reasons. I thought it was paced well.
Yep.
The crowd were unbelievable for it. Unbelievable. There was no moment in this where I thought, speed it up, lads, move on. So, yeah, I thought it was above average. Yeah. And I do try and put it into the time period as well as how much I enjoyed it. Because I thought because this took me a few sessions to get through, even though it wasn't the longest show, because I keep getting distracted by real life things. So I thought I was going to then hate this, and I didn't. So maybe if I saw it in like a vacuum, I'd be a little bit more measured with it. But I thought 3.25 was fair.
Okay.
With new champions crowned, we now see a promotional graphic on the screen confirming this title change, as well as a subsequent promotional graphic reminding us that up next, Ric Flair will be defending the world title.
Yep.
Back to Tony and JR, who discuss how electrifying the atmosphere was for that last tag team match, and they were not wrong, Holly. JR informs us that the judges are now at ringside for the upcoming main event match and sends us to the ring where the festivities can begin. And yes, those were his choices of words. You, at this point, would have seen that it was the world title match. My guess is you then hit pause.
No. Do you know what? I didn't, and I wish I had. Would that
have improved it?
No, but
then what's to be gained from it?
I just wish that I'd known that, because they obviously give the time limit, right?
Yes.
And sometimes I've been pleasantly surprised when they say it's a half an hour time limit and it goes on for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh, all right, that's quite nice. But when they say it's a 45-minute time limit, my brain at this point didn't think this is going to go on for 45 minutes. So a weird part of me is annoyed that I didn't pause, because then I would have been prepared and been like, all right, fine. And another part of me is like, it's both double-edged sword.
Yeah, you couldn't win either way.
No, it was a lose-lose situation for me.
Yeah, I get that. But also they did make the point, and I think I've got it in the notes here, that it's normally a 60-minute time limit match, but because it's on TV, they've had to basically restrain it accordingly.
Oh, I was appreciative of that, at least.
Yeah, because otherwise you would have got the full 15 more. And I know that would have been a struggle for you. Mm-hmm. So it's main event time of the evening. We've got Ric Flair versus Sting for the NWA World Heavyweight title. I'm not going to say JJ Dillon was in his corner, because he was put in like some sort of gorilla cage and then raised above the ring. I mean, to be fair, leave him there. I don't think he's going to help Flair much, based on how much he helped the tag team champions of the Four Horsemen.
Well,
Holly, whose corner were you in for this one?
This was a really weird one, in a sense that I wasn't. I've said it before. We've watched some Flair matches, but I really struggle to care watching him, And I don't know why. And it's not because I don't think he's good. Like, I think, especially as and when, great. Like, theatrics, outstanding. But wrestling-wise,
wow,
it doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
So I would have gone Sting, purely having seen even the tiniest little snippet, thinking, I feel like that might be a tiny little bit more what I would like. However, I've seen it. Both of them annoy me.
How much were you, and I think you've probably forgotten, that they were the main event for the very first Nitro, and how rinse repeat it was there. Now, I will go on record and say that this match is a lot better than what was on Nitro.
Uh-huh.
How much of that was playing into your mind going into this?
I'll be honest, shockingly enough, I had forgotten about it until 5 minutes in.
And that's when...
And then I went, I'm watching the same 5 minutes.
The first press slam.
On repeat.
It was the first press slam, wasn't it? Yep. I remember that being the strongest theme.
Yeah.
So, we are informed that the match, there must... Well, yeah, okay. Go on. We are informed that in this match, there must be a winner. Although there is a 45-minute time limit. Mm-hmm. Standing at ringside are the judges for this contest. Oh. Terry Juster, who is a member of the board of directors of the National Wrestling Alliance. That makes sense. Former NWA wrestling star Sandy Scott. Fine, that makes sense.
I know where it's going downhill.
The pet of the year, Patty Mullins.
What is a pet of the year?
Is that not a Playboy thing?
I don't know.
Is it something to Penthouse?
Maybe.
Something?
I don't
it's
know.
something to do with like
She's
taking your
pretty
clothes
blonde,
off. Pretty much. Now, it is someone who we know and love, apparently. Ken Osmond is there as well. Finally, Jason Harvey.
Yeah, sure.
Hervey. I put Hervey, it's changed, it's Harvey.
Yeah.
One of the stars from the Wonder Years.
Cool.
What in the fuck are the last three bringing to the table for this match?
Also, if someone has to win, why are you putting 5 people there?
No, 5 people's fine.
Yeah, but...
Kick that motherfucker right out.
I'd say get rid of 3 of them and just have 2.
They don't ask all 5.
No, they don't. I know.
Right, okay, we've got so many points to cover off at the end of this, because this really soured it for me.
Absolutely.
Really soured it for me. But now, Holly, it's time for the challenger to make his way to the ring, and you better believe I was pleased that the champion didn't come out first.
Of course.
A face-painted and very young Sting enters the ring in a flowing white robe with black tassels. Holly, give me your thoughts on this look.
It's a good look.
Okay.
From what I could see through the
sepia-toned,
appalling video quality, it was a good look.
But no man is going to outrobe Ric Flair.
Never.
The champion makes his way to the ring alongside JJ Dillon, and to me, this is peak Nature Boy. He climbs onto the apron and signals the referee to head towards the ropes to lower them down so the champion can enter the ring in style. Like that touch as well.
Yep.
As he does this, JJ Dillon is being instructed to enter a cage at ringside so he cannot be a factor in this match. In fact, not only is he in a cage, which one dipshit of a fan begins to shake, but the cage is also lowered off the ground. Lowered off the ground. Raised off the ground and into the air.
I think they should do that with all people that come and stand ringside.
Just don't let people come to ringside.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, sorry, professional wrestling managers. You're done. You had your time. You're done. At the edict of Holly.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Holly, is why the fuck have him down there at all?
Well, yeah.
JR quips that some people would say that is the best place for JJ, behind bars. He is not one of those people. He's just relaying what he has heard, of course. One thing about Flair in this era is that he would always wear knee pads, but rarely would they cover his knees. Mm-hmm. What's the point?
Yeah.
Frustrated me, that. The bell sounds and this one is underway. With this being on TV, a special time limit of 45 minutes is in play, whereas normally the main events would have a time limit of 1 hour as standard.
Yeah.
And Nature Boy was known for going Broadway. Broadway being a 60-minute time limit draw. Mm-hmm. Get absolutely smashed off his nuts. Sleep for 3 hours, wake up, go to the gym, wrestle, rinse and repeat.
Wow.
Mental. As I don't know how the man's still alive, genuinely. The Nature Boy gets in an early woo after hitting the ropes, and then the two men lock up. Sting backs Rick into the corner and offers a clean break before screaming a big... Well, I'm not going to do it.
No.
Woo, because it's like a yell rather than a woo, isn't it?
It's a different pitch, isn't it?
Himself towards the fans. Second lockup sees Ric Flair quickly apply an arm wringer and he pulls the challenger down to the canvas by his hair. Quick kip up by the Stinger and the Nature Boy is backing off. They circle one another before engaging once more, and this time Sting applies a side headlock. Top wrist lock counter by the champion, who is trash talking the challenger. Sting powers free and counters the hold, putting the champion down on the canvas. Flair is quickly back on his feet and appeals to the official that his hair was being pulled. Tentatively, the two men approach, wiggling their fingers in each other's direction, perhaps a test of strength. The champion does engage, but is immediately brought to his knees and overwhelmed. He does, however, manage to drag the Stinger into the buckles. A premium chop is sent flying from the Nature Boy Butcher's counter, and perhaps he is buying because Sting sure isn't selling, as he marches down the champion right after.
Yeah.
Flair backs himself all the way across the ring in the opposite buckles, but is sent flying on a big hip toss. Drop kick puts the champion back down, and he rolls to the outside for a breather. Back in the ring, and Flair slaps on a side headlock before transitioning to a hammerlock.
It's at this point I did start to go, oh no.
Only for a moment though, as it is quickly countered by the challenger. Straight arm lock applied by Sting, and Rick tries to release the pressure by pushing away at the chin until eventually they make it to the ropes and the hold has to be broken. No clean break from the champion, who digs a shot to the stomach but finds his whip countered, yet he still puts Sting down with a shoulder tackle. Drop down and leapfrog twice over from Sting, and press slams the Nature Boy high into the air and down to the canvas.
And it's so weird to say, but at this point I was like, oh, okay, we know I love a leapfrog anyway.
Yep.
I'm always impressed by it. I was like, 2 in a row, brilliant, into this, great. And I was like, oh, amazing. And then I went, ah.
Not quite, because we get a flying head scissors that now connects, and another hip toss sends Flair crashing down once more.
Mm-hmm.
Side headlock takeover earns a near fall, but Sting retains his grip as the champion rolls to his stomach. Back on their feet, and Flair pushes off but is dropped back with a shoulder tackle. Side headlock is reapplied.
God, honestly.
Nature Boy pushes himself free but is again put down with a shoulder tackle. Dropped down by the champion, but his hip toss attempt is blocked and countered with one from the challenger instead. Side headlock takedown returns the champion to the canvas, and we see another 2 count as Flair has to shift his position back onto his stomach. We see shots of JJ Dillon in the cage, either signalling for the referee to make the hold be broken or conducting an orchestra that he sees in his own mind.
That's very good.
He's just waving his hands
He
like
is
fingers
actually, yeah,
pointing.
you're right.
Bizarre. Flair shifts position to get Flair shifts position to get a near fall, but Sting quickly returns to their starting position. Flair tries to pull Sting's face in order to break the hold, but the attempt is futile. They return to their feet, but the hold remains intact.
Boring.
Flair pushes free, but is returned to the canvas with a shoulder tackle, and when he drops down, the challenger dives on top to reapply the side headlock.
Oh, God's sake.
On their feet again, and the champion backs the Stinger into the corner where he breaks the hold, but an ill-advised chop causes the challenger to spin Nature Boy into the buckles and tower over him from the second rope with his fist cocked.
Why doesn't he
Why not, I guess?
do this next
He,
bit?
he wants to see
Is
if
it
he can
because
beat him
they said-
cleanly.
Because they said you can only do this 1,200 times, so don't do it now. You've only got a use
No,
limit
I
on
just
it.
think it was a kind of point of saying, I want to try and beat you cleanly. I don't want to get sucked into doing things that I shouldn't be, which is punching with a closed fist.
Right, okay.
It's what my
If
interpretation
only
would
he'd stood
be.
by that.
Huh?
If only he'd stood by that.
It would have been.
mantra.
Imagine how bad it would have been then, in your
Oh, yeah,
opinion.
True.
He doesn't pull the trigger, and this proves to be a mistake as Flair quickly reverses the position, but cannot fire off any offense before Sting lands a right hand of his own, stinging again.
Stinging.
Another hip toss lands from Sting, but this drop kick doesn't quite find its home, causing the challenger to land hard. Flair slowly walks out the corner, and as the classic Nature Boy face fall, he hits the canvas. With a handful of hair, Flair tosses Sting between the ropes, only to see him return moments later, marching him down. Sting backs the champion into the corner and climbs to the second rope to deliver some much-needed Sesame Street punches.
Mm-hmm.
The challenger... One, count that.
Yeah.
The challenger completes another side headlock takedown, keeping the champion in place, and whilst I'm enjoying the storytelling of this match, I would estimate that Holly feels differently.
Oh, I was done by this point.
Yes, I know you were.
So done. But if you do, when you get to the end, if you do look at the match as a whole, and there's no point saying it later because I'm saying it now, but to me it is like watching the same period of time just on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, and it honestly drained me.
I thought it was fine, to be honest.
Oh.
The challenger completes another side headlock takedown, keeping the champion in place, and whilst... Oh, no, we've done that. Flair shifts position for a pin attempt but only gets 2 and is quickly returned to his stomach while still in the hold. The attempts keep on coming, but it's still not enough for 3 until they settle once more with Flair on his stomach. The champion kicks away on the canvas in frustration as he slowly returns to his knees. With his palm pushed against the Stinger's chin, they return to their feet and head towards the ropes where the hold is finally broken. No clean break as the Nature Boy lands a right hand to the ribs. In the corner, Flair lands a number of chops and right hands, but the challenger fires back and for a second time press slams the champion down to the canvas. Flair is on his knees begging off, but Sting continues and locks the Nature Boy in a dreaded bear hug. Holly is really not pleased.
Nope.
Flair grabs a handful of hair and pulls his fist back, but the ref stops him from firing it off. Slowly he edges his way towards the ropes, but Sting squeezes tighter, preventing the champion from making the sanctuary of the cables. With so much energy taken out of him, Flair wilts and collapses onto his back on the canvas, narrowly getting his shoulder up before the count of 3. The bear hug is still applied with the champion back first on the canvas, making sure that he is keeping at least one shoulder free from the blue mat. Flair is screaming in pain, crying out about his back. He's going, "Oh God! Oh God!" Like just relentlessly. It's the classic Flair sell. Makes sense. He was in that plane crash over 10 years beforehand. Mm-hmm. Sting releases his grip, pounds on his chest, but misses with a running elbow drop. The champion backs off once more, but Sting whips him into the buckles. However, he misses his charging back elbow, landing hard in the corner instead. Both men are down. The champion tries to sneak in with a double axe handle, but eats a kick to the stomach instead. Flair begs off in the corner, but the Stinger climbs to the second rope for more Sesame Street punches before being carried away and dropped with an inverted atomic drop. Is that 2?
Yep.
JL promises us that the inverted atomic drop will slow you down to a snail's pace. The action heads to the outside where Sting finds himself whipped into the guardrail not once, but twice. Flair returns to the ring to ensure that the count is broken. Back in the ring, the champion continues to dish out chops in the corner and whips Sting hard into the opposite buckles, resulting in the challenger wilting down onto his front on the canvas. A second corner whip ends in the same result, and the Nature Boy delivers a swift kick to the ribs for added insult. Snapmare takedown on Flair connects with the knee drop to the top of the head on 2 occasions. Rake across the back and a punch to the spine before the champion fish hooks the inside of the challenger's mouth. In the corner, Sting gets his eyes raked across the top rope. More punishment being doled out in the corner, and the official is imploring Flair to stay within the confines of the rule set. Sting is thrown back outside to the concrete floor, and referee Tom Young has to remove a steel chair from the grasp of the Nature Boy, who is looking to get disqualified. Back first into the guardrail goes the Stinger, and now he is choked over the same partition. With the action returning to the ring, the champion lands a series of varied strikes in the corner and thwarts the brief fight back of the challenger. No, Sting is firing up and absorbs the punishment before unloading with 2 stiff right hands, the second of which sends Flair head over heels to the outside. Double-handed choke against the ring post, but the Nature Boy ducks out the way of a flying clothesline.
I'm counting that.
Fine.
Because it's needed.
Okay. So drink.
Yeah.
They once again return to the ring, and now Flair can focus his attention on the arm. Wristlock applied, and the Stinger is brought to his knees. Sting begins pumping his fists as he returns to his feet, but before he can deliver a right hand, Flair drags him down to the canvas by his hair. Kip up by the challenger, who does connect with a number of right hands, freeing himself from the grip. This is what we love to see, more Sesame Street punches, and a hip toss and clothesline put the Nature Boy down on the canvas for a count of 2, although that's 3 lots of Sesame Street punches we've seen so far.
It is.
A hearty woo from Sting, who pulls Flair to his feet on the apron where he suplexes him back into the ring. Scorpion deathlock time, but Flair quickly scrambles underneath the bottom rope and the hold is released. 2 stomps to the knee of the Nature Boy has him yelling in pain and begging off in the corner with, "Ah, God!" Boot to the throat from Stinger, who is sure to break before the count makes it to 5 to prevent a disqualification. Knife edge chop by Flair is no-sold, and he drops to his knees with his hands in the air in submission. Right hand from Sting sees a classic Flair flop, and he makes a pin but is too close to the ropes. Another hip toss sends the champion flying, but Rick smartly ducks down as Sting takes flight and the challenger goes tumbling over the top to the outside. That was good.
Yep.
As he returns to the apron, Flair manages to guillotine him over the top rope, but but the respite doesn't last long as the Stinger ascends to the top rope and connects with a crossbody that earns a 1, 2, no. Sting is on his feet, pounding on his chest, and he looks for another side headlock but finds it countered with a shin breaker. Now the champion focuses his attention on the knee, and a swift kick puts the Stinger back down on the canvas. We know what he's setting up for now. Holly, have you noticed how Sting appears to be bleeding from his chest?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, he had blood coming from his chest, and I couldn't work out why. Well, let me tell you my theory at least. Oftentimes, when a wrestler is preparing to blade themselves in a match, they'll put the cut-off razor blade under the tape around their finger until they need it, which often is the way that the Nature Boy used to go about things. You can see he's got tape around his fingertips. My guess here is that an edge of a blade was sticking out, and one of the chops to the chest split Sting open and made him bleed, because there's no other reason why that would happen.
Yeah.
Because I saw Flair had blood on him at one point as well. I mean, he does bleed later, but yeah, he had Sting just had blood coming out of his chest there. And that was my theory as to why.
Okay.
After a bit more damage is dished out in the corner, we see a second shin breaker, which results in the challenger rolling to the outside. Sting makes it back to his feet and hobbles back to the ring, where he is met by Flair, who delivers a knee to the injured joint. A swift kick moments later causes the challenger to crash down to the canvas again. Back suplex scores, and now Flair signals for the figure 4 leg lock, and we are informed that there are 15 minutes left in this contest.
Yep.
We've already done half hour.
Yep. Long ass half hour, but yep.
The wily champion uses the ropes for additional leverage outside of the referee's view, applying further pressure to the joint. Sting is in a great deal of pain and desperately looks for a way to release himself from the hold. In a brilliant spot, the challenger manages to edge them away to the middle of the ring where Flair can no longer reach the ropes. I actually thought that was very clever and looked good.
Yeah.
He pounds on his chest again and slowly but surely manages to reverse the hold. We get a classic, God! So from the Nature Boy, but he manages to break the hold by reaching the ropes. Both men are now hobbled, but the champion is the first to strike to the back of the knee. Surely not. Standing on the apron, Flair is attempting to suplex Sting to the outside and down to the floor, but finds himself countered with a beautiful vertical suplex back into the ring.
Yeah, nice.
Sting looks to build momentum by landing a running splash, but the knees are up. Whipped to the ropes, and I'm not entirely sure what Flair was intending, but he is instead trapped in the abdominal stretch.
Yeah. Boring.
Flair screams at the referee to watch the tights and hip tosses himself free from the hold, but misses an attempted elbow drop. Both men are down as the official begins his count, but it doesn't last long. Chop by Flair, who ascends to the top rope, and we know what happens from here. Big press slam sends the champion across the ring, and we get a cover for the 1, 2, no. Sting drags the champion to the corner of the ring, where from the outside he pulls him dingus first into the ring post.
Strength.
That will have you singing at a higher octave.
Yes.
The official kindly grabs Flair by the hands and drags him out of the corner, but all this does is simply put him in a position for the challenger to apply a figure 4 leg lock of his own. The Nature Boy is in such great pain. He falls back to the canvas and nearly finds himself pinned as a result. Tommy Young counts another 2 count, but Flair is up. Finally, he makes it to the ropes, but the damage may well have been done. Sting no longer feels the pain in his knee, apparently, as the hobbling's finished. We're done with that.
Yep.
Holly, do you know what I was hoping for?
Go on.
Another round of Sesame Street punches, followed by a hip toss. 4. Flair is on his knees begging, but the right hands of the challenger rain down on the top of the head. Sting stomps away on the ankle of Flair and yanks him away from the corner to drag him towards the ropes, drape his ankle over the bottom cable, and jump to drive his weight down into the appendage. The pain causes Nature Boy to immediately jump to his feet, where he shoves Tommy Young, who responds by shoving him back down to the canvas as a receipt. And I love that.
Yeah.
I like how he gets angry at the ref, like the pain that he's just had, and then,
Yeah,
perfect.
I like that.
Classic Flair. Whip to the corner sends the champion head over heels onto the apron, where he stumbles and falls down to the concrete. The fans are going wild. Sting bounces Flair face first off the guardrail, and I think I know what the champion plans on doing here. Yes, he's blading. Now Flair finds his face bounced off the judges' table, and he staggers and falls over the guardrail into the fans. He tries to fight back with a couple of punches to the stomach, but it doesn't really slow the challenger down. However, with Sting in the ring, Flair lands a shoulder to the midsection from the apron and looks to score a sunset flip.
That's like a new pay-per-view.
Sting in the ring.
Sting in the ring.
It's also what happens if you have too many jalapenos.
Oh. Very good.
Sting briefly sways but pounds on his chest before pounding on the head of the champion as he won't go over. Backrake, it literally won't go over, but anyway. Backrake is followed by an eye rake across the top rope, and we get a second backrake shortly thereafter. We can see that, as I expected, Nature Boy has run the razor across his head, and this leads to another series of Sesame Street punches, 5, and counting in the same match.
Oh, yeah.
However, the counter that works... What? However, the counter that worked last time, the inverted atomic drop, has no effect this time as Sting has a dingus of steel. He levels him with a clothesline in response. 2 count is broken by the champion, getting his foot across the bottom rope. Flair is whipped into the buckles but moves out of the way as the challenger misses a Stinger splash and topples over the top and down to the concrete, which again looked good.
Yeah.
3 minutes remain as the Stinger rolls back into the ring. Holly's now engaged again. Chops from Flair and Sting throws on a side headlock, but is pushed off. Shoulder tackle sends the champion down. Sting runs directly into a sleeper hold, but counters by running and ducking at the buckles, causing Flair to collide face first with the padding. I always like that counter. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Yeah. Another Flair flop sees the referee begin his count on both men. Sting is thrown back to the outside. Smart play by the champion as the challenger cannot win from out there. Shouldered to the midsection by Sting, who now looks for a sunset flip back into the ring himself. The champion sways and eventually drops to his knees, where he grabs the ropes and we get a 1, 2, no. Referee Tommy Young sees the cheating and knocks his arms off the cable, completing the sunset flip. 1, 2, no. Corner whip again causes Flair to go upside down, where he then runs across the apron, ascends to the top rope and actually does connect with a flying crossbody, a real rarity for Ric Flair, but Sting rolls through and we get another near fall. Chop is no sold. Kick is no sold. Second chop is no sold. Sting fires up and kicks the champion into the corner, where he doles out a 5th round of Sesame Street punches. It's 6 actually, isn't it? Yeah. I've miscounted. Yeah. That's mental. As there is only 1 minute left on the clock. Corner whip, and this time the Stinger splash connects. Flair falls onto his face, where he is turned over and trapped in the Scorpion Deathlock. 30 seconds left on the clock with the champion trapped in the hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The bell sounds, and JR informs us that this is now in the judges' hands. Mm-hmm. Before we go further from that,
okay,
what do you think about any type of wrestling match being left in judges' hands?
I don't like it. It's stupid. And
you might as well have Len Goodman.
I tell you what, put their names into a hat. Close your eyes and just pick one out.
Like an FA Cup draw.
At least then you'd have a winner.
Yes, and you've touched upon an interesting point. So we mentioned that we have 5 judges at ringside.
Yes.
Okay, just bear that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
We see the cage that JJ was trapped in slowly lower back down to the arena floor. Flair is barely moving, and we head to another on-screen advert for NWA main event before returning to the ring, where we're informed of the decisions from the judges. Mm-hmm. Patty Mullen scores it for Flair. Gary Juster scores it for Sting. Sandy Scott declares it a draw, so fuck it, it's a draw. What happened to Jason Hervey and the other fucker? So they don't ask, just to be clear, so they don't ask Ken Osmond or Hervey. Don't have them there.
No.
Don't have them there. And Sandy Scott, the wrestler, declares it a draw.
And I thought the whole point was it can't end in a draw.
First thing they said.
So I don't...
It's a fuck you.
Logically makes no sense.
Because to me, you go to Sandy Scott. Oh, okay, yeah, no. Who won?
Yeah.
And I get it because that's obviously what's booked to happen. Mm-hmm. But it's just logically so lacking in sense. And I thought I quite enjoyed this match, knowing full well you wouldn't. But that ending is dumb. That ending is dumb. Just have the wrestler just arbitrarily say, "Okay, yeah, Flair."
Yeah.
And then Sting's got a point and go, "What?"
Exactly.
Because Sting does go, "What?" But
I just don't get it. Like, it makes no sense at all. And I think, as well, I've already said about the repetitiveness, which I don't like, but also the fact that the match is 45 minutes long and it ends like that just makes it so much worse.
Yep, I put here, had the time limit been reached and that was it, great. But this was dumb. Sting protests the decision. After all, we were informed that there must be a winner. Therefore, Sandy Scott is a bitch. We head back to commentary where Tony, JR and Bob discuss what we just saw in the main event. The stock of the challenger has risen after this performance, and yet the NWA Championship remains around the waist of the Nature Boy. We get a final plug for NWA Main Event Wrestling from Tony Schiavone, and JR does a quick recap of the show. The camera zooms out, and we see the fans beginning to leave the Coliseum. The final credits roll on the screen, and we see that one of the senior producers is listed as Virgil... Sorry, let me start that again. The final credits roll on the screen, and we see that one of the senior producers is listed as being Virgil Runnels. Do you know who that is, Holly?
Go on.
That's the road, baby.
Oh, is it?
Virgil Runnels.
Oh, wow.
As the music and credits play out, this show comes to an end.
Good.
I want to hear your score on that before I tell you mine and get you upset.
1.5. I couldn't.
That's actually higher than I thought you were going to give it.
It's to be fair, I've obviously said how repetitive I thought it was. I don't like that. No matter who you are, I don't like it. It just bores me.
I like it in certain contexts.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare. Like, if I saw that in a modern thing now, unless it was a really well done... No.
Yeah.
In this, I accept it and I'm fine with it.
And then the ending was awful.
Dumb, yep.
And again, to me, it made no difference whether Flair won through the way they did it or Flair won outright. It makes no difference.
Keeps Sting strong, though, because he didn't lose. And Sting...
Yeah.
And what was Flair going to do? If it was an hour, was he going to stay in the whole 15 minutes? That's
Well,
kind
yeah.
of the play that they're going with.
But I just thought it ruined it for me. I really did. So 1.5. Sting, I thought was great. Flair, yeah, I've said before, I've had issues. Like,
Can I tell you what? So you
Understand
said Sting looks great. Why
Yeah.
did Sting look great?
I think it's in comparison
was
to...
no, because Flair was doing his job.
Well, yeah, probably, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what, like, Flair was great at making people look like superstars.
Yeah.
He would still come out looking legitimately like a great wrestler himself.
Yeah.
But his real gift was making the people he worked with look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so underrated, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not really, because he's considered to be one of the best to ever do it, if not the best. But he's the equivalent of, like, someone you'd say... I mean, it's not a great comparison, but someone who always made other people look great, a Dolph Ziggler. Except Dolph Ziggler isn't considered to be on the level of a Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So I gave it 3.75.
Sweet Jesus.
I thought it was well paced.
Okay.
The repetitive bits, which would normally annoy me in other matches, I found was fine here.
Yeah.
It helped the pacing of the match, where it never felt to me like it went the full 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I get the repetition, though, fully understand that, so I'm not saying
Yeah.
that you're wrong or anything like that, because obviously it's subjective. But I actually, really enjoyed it. As soon as the bell finished, the bell sounded, everything after that, fuck it off. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was stupid and it took away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have gone higher than that, but I had to make sure that I didn't knock it down based on what happened after the match either.
Okay.
Because I was so annoyed, I nearly went, I'm taking half a star off that for just that. But I was like, but that wasn't the match.
Right, okay.
So that's how I kind of justified it to myself. But yeah, I thought it was really fun, actually.
Okay.
And it made me feel nostalgic for an era that I wasn't cognizant, I wasn't alive for a start.
True.
But yeah, I felt very nostalgic, weirdly, watching it, which was nice.
Okay.
And that's just because of the sepia-toned footage that they were
Yes,
doing.
of course.
What did you think of the show overall?
I'll be honest, I really didn't enjoy it. Really did it, and that's fine, because there are going to be shows that I don't enjoy, and there's going to be some that I really do. So, it's par for the course. But I struggled to get into it. And also the length of this show, this is normally one I would do in like easy 2 sittings maximum, sometimes even just 1. And I just couldn't push myself to do it. Like, I didn't want to.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to watch it.
It's an interesting one, because now that you've been introduced to the kind of the way it looks, let's say we go back at some point and do Clash of the Champions 2, whether you'll be geared up for it more, or because you're now more familiar with some of the people there that you might have already known but have now a bit more familiar with, if that will change the verdict after you watch it. I don't know, it could go either way.
Yeah,
it could go either way.
But it's like, we had that disastrous Saturday night
The
main
worst
event,
piece of shit I've ever seen.
which was dire. But it wasn't... I still knew people, but it was still awful.
Well, the worst match, categorically, by a mile, that I think we've ever seen on this show is George the Animal Steel, Randy Savage at WrestleMania 2. Yeah. It was an abortion of a match. It was awful. Honestly, it was horrendous. And I still get angry thinking about it. And it took me a while to not hold that against Savage as well.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah.
Really did. So what was your overall score then?
3 out of 10.
Yeah, you've definitely had several shows that have been under that, to be fair.
Yeah, and I just really struggled to get into it. But there were bits that I enjoyed. There was one match that I really enjoyed, and the rest was okay. It just wasn't, not for me.
No, fair enough.
But it is what it is.
6.5 was my score. Thought it was pretty good, well paced. Only one match on there I went, why? And that was over so... Oh, no, sorry, 2. Definitely 2. Mike Rotundo, thank you for that. And also the 6-man Chicago, Texas, Milwaukee, New York, New Jersey, London, Surrey street fight. Yeah, that I could have done without that, but at least that was quick. So yeah, I landed on 6.5. I thought that was perfectly serviceable, and I didn't dislike really much about it. So I was quite happy with it. But that's really not what people want to hear. What people want to hear, more than anything, is Holly's outfit of the night.
This.
How many contenders
was
were
a
there?
struggle. 3.
Okay.
This is the least I think I've had in a long time.
The Fantastics?
No.
Ric Flair?
Yes.
Sting?
Yes.
Jimmy Garvin?
No. One is on there, and I hate that he's on there, but he's on there.
Go on.
Cornet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, with the red and black tuxedo with sparkles. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
I think you'll go with Sting.
Do you know what? I was very close to going with Sting.
Flair?
But Flair has to. Even though I think he's may have had it before, I don't care. You can't beat that.
Yeah, it was good. It was. I agree,
Yeah.
but I thought with Sting's kind of like the tassels, the face paint, it might have kind of swung you.
I do really like it. It's a very good look.
Yeah,
but nah, Flair wins that, I'm afraid.
So, in your opinion, not the best trip that we could have done into NWA, really?
No, but a trip is a trip.
A trip is a trip, and I guess it quickly shifts into WCW anyway. So it's not too long until that's more of a formal passing of the guard, as it were. I guess that pretty much brings us to the end of this extravaganza. It's been a happening.
It has been.
It has been a happening.
You could cut the electricity with a knife.
You could cut many things with a knife. And this has actually gone longer than the event itself. So we must have had a lovely time.
Hopefully it's more entertaining.
I'd like to think so. Well, no, I thought it was all right. So I don't want to big us up too much.
Hopefully it's better than a 3 out of 10.
Well, yes. Yeah, quite. But before we go into the sunset, Holly, can you tell the lovely listeners how they can get in contact with us?
wintwicepod@gmail.com, and then wintwicepod on the likes of Instagram and YouTube.
Yep, so via email, obviously you can suggest shows, give your thoughts on shows that we've covered, and like I said, I'll read them out as we go forward, assuming that they're written that I can understand them and they're good, which I'm sure they would be. And continue sending Holly pictures on Instagram. That's
I love
great.
it. It's great.
Yeah, I do. It's nice. I mean, I get occasional like, hello, would you like some editing work done, please? We can make your channel fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're
the emails that I mainly get as well. So, but yes, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And Holly, next episode.
Yes.
Episode 69.
I know.
# lol.
Naughty.
Exactly, naughty. I'm sorry for hashtagging. That's not within my normal.
No.
No, I don't. I didn't like
that.
No, I felt uncomfortable.
Oh no.
Felt uncomfortable. But anyway, what's better than leaving people feeling uncomfortable? Hopefully you've all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And see you at the next one.
Until next time, this has been a Win Twice Wrestling production. Peace out.